Welcome back in, everybody, to One Piece chapter 1090. We got the legendary Par Vision here again to help us break down the chapter. We got another long one in store for us, boys. Par, how you doing? How's your break week going?
Hey, this break week has been the weirdest break week in, my history, right? Like, I had a stream on a Monday. That's crazy.
Chapter came out on a Saturday. It's like Solomon Grundy.
What?
It's a Batman reference. I'm so sorry.
Oh, okay.
But that does bring us to our feline cover story. Captain Kuro with some black cats. Not Catwoman, unfortunately, but Captain Kuro's he's right there. He's a close runner-up.
Yeah, he's pretty much the Black Panther.
Yeah, he's the Black Panther of One Piece, right?
Yeah.
He's just missing the armor, really.
Yeah, and he's like a few melanin percentages. But,
yeah.
It's all
he's
good
close.
And yeah.
He's the closest we're gonna get. I like it.
I mean, speaking about, melanin and things like that, he is reading a book about heritage, right? Like,
yeah, where does the black cat come from? See, the thing with Captain Kuro is that I feel like if he was in our era, he would probably be a furry, right?
He has cat claws. Like, that's the whole thing where it's like his cat claws.
Nothing wrong with being a furry. It's just like, dang, all that potential.
He's so close. Like the cat claws, right? Like when we got introduced to Minx, the first thing we saw was Carrot wearing like the same kind of gauntlet, like a glove with claws on it. Those aren't her hands. She wears a gauntlet. And then, he basically howls at the moon and goes too long. Like he has lunar empowerment. So he's pretty close to One Piece's version.
I hope he comes back.
Furries. Yeah, I think
he's still a pirate. He's still out there, man.
He is. He wasn't captured, right?
No, he was not captured.
Just slaughtered.
Last we saw him, he still has his ship. He's actually on the Bezin Black still. And he still has a crew, too. So he's sailing. This dude's sailing in the East Blue. I like to think that if you want to get to the Grand Line, you have to beat Captain Kuro.
Okay, so like, I'm gonna say something, and then a lot of people are like, Kuro was like the cool. In my opinion, I know we talk about Krieg.
No, he's cool, man. He's cool.
Kuro is the cool, like one of the, probably, in my opinion, the coolest antagonist from the East Blue. But I get it because, like, in Sierra Village, he got done dirty. Like, his 1,000 plans, whatever.
Yeah, and then he lost to a headbutt, too. Like, that's embarrassing.
Yeah,
that's a little bit embarrassing.
He could have won. He literally could have won, but, like, he fumbled the end part. And it's like, damn, bro, like you had all these like plans. Like imagine if Doctor Strange 14 million plans, right? Or futures, and then he loses to like Usopp.
Gumboy.
Yeah, and Gumbo. And like the thing is, it's not even like all he really had to do was just like wait. You know what I mean? Like,
if he just waited a day or two for Luffy to leave, it would have been GG. Like it would have been done. Like he maybe would have had Usopp on the island because Usopp probably wouldn't have left yet. But yeah, look, like Captain Kuro could have been happy. He could have been living in Kaya's mansion, having, a village full of slaughtered people. Like, he could have been living the life, but no. He was impatient.
He was is it hubris? He had too much hubris?
Hubris, yeah.
Cocky? Yeah, like, because he knew that, like, Luffy and Usopp overheard, but then he was basically like, who's gonna believe you? Blah, blah, blah. Like,
you can't stop us.
Yeah, like even if you do say anything, no one's gonna, you're just the boy who cried wolf. And then so all he had to have done in that situation was coax Usopp to say that, and then just gaslight him for another week.
If Captain Kuro just waited 2 years for Kaya to like naturally pass away, because we don't know how bad her disease was, but she was dying. She was on her deathbed. She could barely get out of bed. She was red forehead every time we see her. She wasn't gonna make it that long. Captain Kuro could have just put some poison in there and it would have been done. But no, he wanted to go out in a grand fashion before her time was up. I just don't understand it. And you know what's the worst part? Two worst things. One, Oda in an SBS said that Captain Kuro is just as fast as CP9 with his little cat out of the bag attack, right? He can't control the speed, but he's just as fast. That's a huge feat. Second feat is that Captain Kuro is apparently the second smartest person in the East Blue, only behind Ben Beckman, according to Oda. And it's
Ben Beckman isn't there.
Brother, where's that IQ? Captain Kuro's end goal wasn't just to slaughter the village and kill Kaya. He also wanted to kill his crew. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Because
he was gonna get rid of them.
Yeah, he was gonna get rid of them because he was like, oh, like nobody must know the truth and be alive. So he was gonna slaughter his entire crew, and it's like, brother, why bring them here? Just wait for Kaya to die. Like that's the easiest way to go about things.
Now I remember. Oh, you're right.
Zero
So
sense.
what you just said countered what I just said, because it's not that he was still acting like a pirate. He brought his pirate crew so that he could kill all the birds with all the stones, or one stone.
But
and
you would imagine that if the Navy shows up, they're like, man, you know, these guys died to cat claws. This guy looks like Clawhador, Captain. Like they would start piecing together the pieces even easier. He's bringing all the players into one small village. You know what, man? This guy makes me mad. I love Captain Kuro, but god dang it, man. On to the chapter. Luffy's going to be king of the pirates. Let me tell you. I think this is Oda foreshadowing a major event, and Luffy might just become king by the end of the series. I don't know what it is. Maybe.
It'd be crazy if Oda actually didn't. Like, you know what I mean? Like, not even like a buggy thing. Like, no one becomes Pirate King, right? Like, that would be crazy if Oda did that. He wouldn't do that. That's not Oda. Oda's MO is him telling you what's gonna happen, and then you seeing what happens, and you're still surprised, right? Like,
yeah, I feel like if this was any other storyline, I would entertain the idea of Luffy not becoming Pirate King, but because it's One Piece and because it's from a different era, right? I feel like he has to. Like, it's like Naruto almost, right? Like, they started around the same time. If Naruto never became Hokage, by the end of story, it'd be like, dang. Like, all right. Like,
what are you doing?
He's the strongest in the verse, but, like, just become Hokage, man. I don't know. So, you know, we go in here. We have Luffy pretty much demanding that, hey, you guys just make way for us, and then we'll give you York alive, which I'm surprised they didn't take this offer, to be honest. Because they don't necessarily have to fight Luffy. Actually, Saint Saturn says there's 3 things we have to protect, and Luffy isn't one of them. Like, he's just like, hey, like, we need to do this, Mother Flame, York, and then also we have to help or save Punk Records as well. Like, those are the 3 things that he doesn't want to compromise on. And Luffy's kind of offering that on a golden platter. Like, hey, don't fight us, we'll give you York, and then obviously with York, they'll get the whole island, because I doubt Luffy's going to destroy everything. So it's like, dang, like, that's a juicy offer. I'm surprised they didn't say yes.
Yeah, you're kind of right, to the point where I wonder if the officials are gonna change the translation here, because I guess Luffy hasn't said his. We've talked about this, right? Like, we've talked about how each side doesn't necessarily want to even fight. Luffy's prerogative is Vegapunk, and Vegapunk just wants to get off the island. Vegapunk has not said, like, yo, let's protect Punk Records, which we still don't know what his plan is with Punk Records, right? Because he said, can you take me off the island? But he's never explained, like, what that means, because, like, sure, you take Vegapunk, even in the plan that he talks about in this chapter, I think, right? He doesn't say, like, oh, we fly away with Punk Record tied to the back of your shit. Like, he doesn't say anything like that. So
yeah, he just wants to leave it alone.
Yeah, and then so, like, if, let's say, like, Luffy says, like, here it says, if you care about York's safety, then withdraw your fleet from around the shore. Which, if a proper negotiator, which, you know, I went to negotiation classes, I've been through that. In this situation, you would consult your client and say, hey, go to what you actually want. You want Vegapunk to leave. Technically, Saturn doesn't care about the Stella, according to what he said. He cares about York, he cares about Punk Records, and the power plant. So if Vegapunk and Luffy leave, Punk Records is there, the power plant is there, everything to presumably make it is there, because if York can make it, then all you need is Egghead. So then, yeah, you're right.
And
like, I don't know why.
No soldiers.
No soldiers, no fight. Luffy and Vegapunk just leave. And it's not like they're, like, what, they're going to slaughter York along the way, right? But then you have an issue if they're like, we're going to kill York if you don't let us leave. But that's not what they're saying. They're saying, like, yo, leave the island. Like, Luffy's telling them to leave the island when they should be saying, I just want to leave the island. And then they're like, oh, that's what we want. We want the island.
They want the same thing. But then again, I understand the Marines wanting to fight, though, because how often...
Do you?
Here's the thing.
No, I don't want to hear the laugh.
How often do we have 100 battleships coming from around the world, 9 vice admirals, Kizaru and Saint Saturn, ready to fight a Yonko, right?
No.
Like Kaido Shanks, like they haven't been in a situation like this. So maybe they look at this and they're like, okay, this is a chance to take down Yonko. Right?
You think it's like for glory? I knew this is where you were gonna go with it, where you were just like, well, we're here right now, we might as well fuck shit up.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, we're already here. It's like, why not take down a Yonko, especially if they feel like they can, right? Like, so far,
so crazy.
Saturn and Kizaru, nobody's really been like intimidated by Luffy. Last chapter they were shocked, but they were shocked about the situation with York. They weren't like, oh no, not Luffy. You know, not the guy that has the Sun God Nika fruit. It's more like, ah, dang, like Luffy really messed up everything here. So maybe they are confident that Kizaru and Saturn can take him down. Which, you know, going back to Kizaru and Wano, Kizaru did offer to go to Wano to settle the Big Mom and Kaido alliance. Which people look back at and they're like, man, like, considering how confident he is in this chapter, and considering how scared or, you know, worried or that Luffy looked as well, maybe there's some credence there. Maybe he is that guy. I don't know.
Yeah, like we were talking about it before. I think at the live reaction, which 1090's live reaction, with Kizaru and Kaido. Like does Kaido shiver from Kizaru? Like what is happening there? And like,
I have no clue.
And then you said, like Kizaru wanted, like, it's not like Kizaru, you know, he could be underestimating Luffy, right? Because he doesn't know Gear 5.
Yeah.
He doesn't know that's all good and dandy. But then from the way Oda portrayed it was, Luffy is reacting to Kizaru, which he has interacted with Kizaru on 2 occasions. The first occasion, it didn't feel like this moment. He said, like, yeah, let's run, whatever. And then Marineford, he didn't really, like, give Kizaru this kind of respect. And then as far as admirals go, we see Wano with Aramaki. And so it's like, that is crazy, the way Oda's portraying Kizaru at this moment. But then also, like you said, like, Kizaru wanted all the smoke from Big Mom and Kaido. And it's not like you can underestimate Big Mom and Kaido. Big Mom and Kaido have been there for 20 plus years, right? Like,
yeah,
they
Kizaru
are
is from that era. Like, Kizaru's, he knows who Big Mom and Kaido are, so it's not like he's going in there blind, not, you know, like, oh, how strong are these guys? No, he was like, yeah, like, I've been in the Navy for 50 years, 40 years. Yeah, let's go fight these guys. Yeah.
Yeah, and which is
like,
wild,
dang,
because
right?
like Garp kind of had an interesting reaction too. Garp said, off of the Big Mom Alliance thing, Garp said, oh, well, there's nothing we could do. All the amount of forces that we'd need to deal with them are preoccupied. And there's also just no worry. You'd be surprised how like, the future is beyond your imagination. He said something like that. But prior to that, he was just like, you know, there's no reason to worry about things that, like, you can't do. Like, things will just work out. And it's like, as everything that we know about Garp now, he said all of the required, like, resources are preoccupied to handle Big Mom and Big Mom and Kaido. So, like, that is kind of like insane that, like, you have that from Garp. We know how competent Garp is. Then you have Kizaru, who, you know, is not as old as Garp, in his prime, is an admiral, is OG, and from that era. And it's like, what does this mean? Is Kizaru, like, equal to them?
And then we see Kizaru in Film Red and Marineford, where both times he's like, whoa. And it's like, it's such a weird portrayal. Like, here, that's the reason why there's a debate around this. And I've seen both sides saying, oh, Luffy's gonna stomp him, oh, Kizaru's gonna go crazy. Like, there's a lot to, like, go into, and there's so many different portrayals of these two characters here. And, like, for Kizaru too, it's like, you know, going back to the whole, like, Luffy has PTSD from Sabaody thing, like you said, we saw him at Marineford, and Luffy didn't care. He did not care about Kizaru whatsoever. Maybe he has a tunnel vision, he was only focused on Ace, but that's the thing too. Like, if Luffy did have PTSD from Kizaru, he would have that from Sentomaru and the Pacifistas as well, which he didn't even care about next time he saw them. You know, he kind of, like, laughed, smiled, and destroyed them. And then, I don't know, man. I think the reason why Luffy has this reaction here and not earlier is because right now Luffy has amazing observation haki. Like, he can truly sense, like, where Kizaru's at. It's like that Bleach thing with Aizen. It's like you couldn't sense his spiritual pressure before, but now that you're around that level, you can. And that's intimidating.
Yeah. I you know, as far as, like, Luffy's reaction, I think there's, like, 9 different ways to interpret it, but like I agree with most of what you said. We talked about it in the live reaction. Like it's not necessarily like you can't power scale like significantly off of that.
You can't power scale sweat beads.
Yeah, and like though I you know, a lot of people would want to. I've been thinking like, especially just now, and like, you know, soft spoilers for another series, but it's not like even the first anime season for JJK, you get the notion from Gojo that like Gojo is just kind of like beyond everything, right? Like, and what if like given Kizaru's power, maybe Kizaru has like a god complex type of thing where he's never been like reasonably challenged also, because like if you thought like Marineford, for example, maybe that was a moment he would be able to fight like Shanks, Ben Beckman, anything, but like it got diffused, so he's not gonna fight anymore, right? In Film Red, even, it's like it's a movie, one thing, right? Like I'm on the boat that anything related to Shanks, Oda had clear oversight, so any characters, anything that Oda had 100% like that had to be fact checked before it got released, right? And some other things, you know, Kobe, whatever, slight whatever misses because Oda probably didn't look that didn't scrutinize as much. But in that scenario, right, like you could say that there wasn't really a value towards Kizaru fighting Shanks in that moment either, because there was a whole different, they had to take down Uta, right? Like Uta and taught Musica, and whether Kizaru was knowledgeable about that, like him going the extra mile to fight Shanks, who he might respect, right? But he also is probably like, yeah, it might not be worth my effort to fight Shanks and deal with this like primordial being, right? So that's why I'm like, maybe it's a Gojo like god complex type of thing where like Kizaru's literally light. Like, what do you like? I'm also imagining like maybe like if he goes all out, it's a situation where like people just die and like he can't just like kill people, right? But imagine he gets pushed to that point, right? Like he goes to Kaido and Big Mom, but it's also on Wano. On Wano, it's not an affiliated thing. So hey, if the whole thing blows up, who cares, right? Like Kizaru could probably do that, and you know that might make sense why he wanted to go solo, right? Versus Sabaody, he was in junction with a bunch of people. Also, the groves were protected. Like they were mad that he destroyed one of the mangroves, and he accidentally did that. So what if that's the thing? If he went solo to Big Mom and Kaido, he has like this. If he unleashes it, it's just like this insane power that just slaughters everything, and he just can't always use it, you know? Which some people think with the Logia Awakening, which we might get here, but like...
Ooh, what if the Logia Awakening requires sacrifices?
That's the
100 battleships, like... Kizaru's like, time to awaken my light fruit. And then you see like the 100 battleships and the people just flying and becoming light beams. It's such a weird one, but, you know, I'm rooting for the Marines, though. I do want the Marines and the Gorosei to come out on top in this arc.
Yeah.
Like
I think they will.
Yeah, I think they will. I don't think they're going to take down Luffy by any means and like destroy the Straw Hats, but I think they will get what they want. Because like we said earlier, like the Straw Hats don't really care about any of those three things. Like even after learning about the Mother Flame and that's what they want and that's why they want York, Vegapunk was like, that's the reason. And then that's it. Like he packed his bags and he's ready to go. Like he doesn't even say anything else about it. You know, York, they're just threatening to kill her, but we know Luffy's not gonna like slice her throat off. Yeah. It's like, like this is an easy dub for the Gorosei. As long as they don't fumble the bag and just all try to run the smoke on Luffy and lose, they're gonna come out on top.
Which is worrisome because in my opinion, I know
you think
like
they will.
No, not that. Like I'm a little bit biased here because I'm too critical, but I think like it's not that they're disappointing me. It's just that this Saint Saturn, I just like the wisdom isn't there. You know, the decision making, the way that's being portrayed at the moment isn't there. I think
that's totally fine.
It's fine. I just hope it's one of those things. It's like a dragon thing, right? Like at the end of the day, where it's like Sabo, it's Sabo's backstory. We're in the middle of the Egghead arc. We're talking about the Holy Knight and Emu. The whole point of the Sabo backstory wasn't necessarily even Sabo. It was to show us the Gorosei and Emu. And like, so as far as Dragon's representation, like maybe Oda deprioritizes, like I can't focus as much as like making sure everything's perfect for Dragon because the focus is here. And maybe that's the thing here where it's like he's not giving giving Saturn the full focus at the moment, which wouldn't make sense technically in this spot, but like because later on he's gonna Gorosei specific, Gorosei centric, Emu centric, like that's when it's the time to like really focus on every single word that they say. And that being said, they are saying like in the few lines he says something really important, but like as far as like Kizaru being here, it goes back to one of my original ideas was that like, yes, Luffy is incredibly strong. Like he's a god now, Sun God Nika, whatever, Gear 5 awakening, insane. There's not many people who can come out of fight winning or unscathed, or like even like losing isn't even make sense for someone else, because it's like, what are they even fighting against? He's just breaking reality, right? But the thing is, like, I still think that Luffy's not strong enough to protect his entire crew. Like, you have an Admiral who literally, like, like, the way Luffy remembers him was Kizaru almost wiping his entire crew. And then we flash back to Egghead, where Luffy was faced with that dilemma against the Seraphim, where when he was faced with Kuma, S-Bear, and S-Hawk, he couldn't protect the rest of his crew, who was facing Seraphim. And Sanji had to step in. Zoro had to run after them, right? Like he needed to rely on his crew to save his crew and do that. And this is Gear 5 Luffy. He didn't pull it out, but it's like, if that's the presentation that we're having, well, also Gear 5 Luffy couldn't protect Sentomaru. And it's like, like whether he wanted to or not, we are getting this thing where it's like Gear 5 Luffy is Gear 5 Luffy. That's good for him. But what about everybody else, right? What can he do against Kizaru if Kizaru holds everyone else hostage? What is Luffy supposed to do? Are we going to get Bounce House Luffy? Like, is he going to mirror bounce every light beam like he did against Kaido's Borobra?
Create clones or something, which I feel like he might be able to do by the end of series, but like...
That'd be crazy.
Right now, Luffy still doesn't know what Devil Fruit he has. He's just kind of going with the flow, right? He still says, Gomu Gomu no, and then, it's just going on with this thing. And it's interesting because Vegapunk knows what fruit this is. Like, Vegapunk knows what it is. He called him the Warrior of White, or the Warrior of Light. What is it? I think it's Warrior of White. The White Warrior. White Warrior.
Yeah. Not to bring it to reality, but that's a crazy phrase.
The Warrior of White who liberates people and brings smile to their faces. That's Luffy's epithet. And Vegapunk knows this, right? So Vegapunk could literally just be like, hey, Luffy, by the way, you don't have a paramecia. So I wonder if we'll ever get that interaction. And maybe this is where Luffy learns what his fruit is, and that's where he gets like another massive upgrade, because I feel like there's so much power you get from just knowing the name of your fruit.
Yeah. Hopefully Luffy cares, but yo, when you said the clone thing, because
he could definitely pull out clones, right? He could be like, and then like 2 or 3 Luffys pop up, and that's how he protects his crew.
Yeah, that is like a huge thing for like Western, like Tom and Jerry to have that. But this is the thing for my Shadow clone.
Every great cartoon has a clone episode. Like even Dexter's Laboratory did that. We got Tom and Jerry doing that. We got so many cartoons do clones, man. Like clones are huge over here in the West.
It was funny because we
got a lot of twin sisters.
Before Oda announced that like Tom and Jerry was an inspiration, I had the Shadows theory, right?
Yeah.
And the Shadows theory, I explained it on a stream before, like a stream after the Shadows theory. One of the reasons why I thought the Shadows thing was actually Tom and Jerry, because I remember there was a scene where Tom and Jerry's shadows were fighting, and they were hitting each other, and they were getting hurt from their shadows. And that's like, I talked about that. And I might even I didn't use clips back then in my videos. I just did panels, but I remember having that saved. I was like, oh, maybe I should put this in because it really explains what I'm talking about really well. And that's so, I just realized, it's like, wait, after that, Oda did say it's Tom and Jerry, but then also I was thinking like, it'd be funny because he's facing Light. What if he has Shadow Clone Jutsu, like a callback to like Naruto, which, Kishimoto, whatever. But Oda likes memeing on like the Naruto stuff a little bit with like Raizo. But then I was thinking like, wait, actually, like that's not a crazy thing, because Luffy actually interacted with the shadow stuff on Thriller Bark. He knows that shadows and his body are a separate thing, to the point where he had shadows like inserted into him, but he also had his shadows separated. So it would be crazy if like, obviously his fruit's imagination, like whatever he wants, he can create. He just needs to like imagine it. So it could be like, yo, I can't be in two places at once against Kizaru. And maybe Luffy imagines clones because of that, and it might be like he speaks to his shadow, like he's like, hey, I need you to protect my thing, and he pulls out his shadow just like Moria did, and then boom, that shadow Luffy is protecting like part of the crew, and then he's protecting part of it. I could kind of see that, especially because it's like sense. The light fruit with Kizaru, like the dichotomy of that.
And when I say it makes sense, it's like it doesn't make sense, but it makes sense because it's, you know, obviously year 5th.
Yeah, exactly. But then the reason why I like it is because it's not something Luffy. It's not like it's not like external stuff. It's not like some random thing. though. This is like something Luffy actually knows. Like as far as cloning goes, like he hasn't interacted with the Vinsmokes like that. He doesn't. I don't even think he knows about the clone. I don't even know if he knows what Sanji is. Let's be honest. Like I doubt.
I don't even think Luffy can comprehend what's going on with the Seraphim. Right? He called the one in this chapter Hancock.
Exactly. So, but as far as like cloning would go, he knows that he had his shadow pulled out from him in front of him, and he knows that it could move. He knows how that works because they taught him about shadows on Thriller Bark. They literally had him do a entire like cram
I think the shadow thing
it.
is like it's a pretty small thing that like a new ability that Luffy could have. I like it.
And it's like Tom and Jerry. I like it.
Yeah, like that's the thing. Like that's probably just one trick in his arsenal, though. Like it's not even like that huge. I bet Luffy would probably just do it. It'd get like maybe 2 panels, and that's kind of it.
Yeah, like I'm saying that as like an option because as far as him like doubling, like that's already like I feel like that's a thing. But if that idea verbatim doesn't happen, then I could see an alternative, which would be the shadows. But like. We talked about it in the 1090 live reaction. Can't Kizaru make holograms?
Yeah, who knows?
Shouldn't he?
I mean,
if he
technically he could.
Yeah, and then if he can, then can he make clones of, like not clones, but light clones of himself? So then if he can do light clones, right? And then Luffy sees that, then Luffy can do it, right? Luffy's like, how do you do that? Lights? Wait, and then he learned about the holograms earlier. Oh my god, what if that is it? Like Luffy makes light clones. Oh my god, wait, hold on,
There's cool. literally endless amounts of things Luffy could do. I mean, it's like we could sit here for hours and hours like talking about every single thing that Luffy can do. But I mean, like that's just how it is. That's how Gear 5th is. It's imagination. It's cartoony. We'll
do that for a break week conversation. You know, like the action figure conversation.
Oh my gosh,
we'll do it just with Luffy on a break.
Just spitball like random ideas.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So back to the chapter, though. Back to the chapter. Doberman, he's still in the room with Saint Saturn. And then Doberman's like, yo, like, we got to help those Cypherpole agents. And then Saint Saturn, is a really mean guy. He says, yo, those guys are insects. All humans are insects. Even if you stomp them out, they'll just, multiply again later. Which makes sense, right? Like, if you kill a cockroach, like, there's probably like 10 more of those guys. Those 10 guys, probably 500 kids, and it's just like endless, man. Nobody likes insects. Yep. Nobody likes insects. It's a very celestial dragon line. Mm-hmm. Which I never really got that celestial dragon feel from the Gorosei, but I'm glad we're finally getting it here.
Yeah, it's interesting given like a lot of thematics. I talked a little bit teasing some important stuff if you guys are interested in it from the live reaction. But as far as like, but that's a lengthy conversation that the same reason why I didn't bring it up in the live reaction fully. I'm not going to do it here because it's so long, but there's a lot to say off of that line because there's been a few others. But like it makes you interested into like Kizaru, Saturn, like all the relationships of people like close to them. Like where does the line stop? Like does Lucci feel the same way, right? Like what if Lucci was here and heard this about like, yo, all humans are insects, and then like they say that about Lucci? What does Lucci do?
I think Lucci be okay.
What would Aramaki do? Like I agree with you. I think that they would be fine with it. But as far as like him saying it, and he's saying it to Doberman. You know what I mean? Like Doberman is one of those humans.
I mean, that's just how it is, right? Like, if you've ever seen a celestial dragon or guarded one or even went to Sabaody, like how they treat people. Like, Lucci, like, I doubt he'd be surprised, especially since he tried to help St. Charles kidnap Shirahoshi. Like, he knows. He knows they don't care about anybody. He's expendable.
As far as that goes, like, it's just interesting because, like, you have all these people who are super prideful in what they do as far as the Navy and Marines go. And you talked about this, like, if you were to choose if the Marines and world government were to split, you would be on the Navy side, and like you would prefer that and you'd like that. And it's like, that's because, like, in the Navy, they're prideful, like Kobe and all these people, but they're also hypocrites, and they have to accept that because they're protecting the world government. And it's in moments like this when it's put on the forefront, right, where they're like, this is what we're protecting. They don't even respect me. They don't respect anything. And what do they respect? And this is like a Doberman confronting that, and we don't even get to see like a reaction. He's just like, yes sir, right? So this is like, it's like we don't see his eyes. Yeah, it's like fanning the flames for a future conflict between like prideful characters and the world government, because like a lot of people would say like Garp is crazy, right? Like, he's a treasonous monster, he never listens to things, but that's because Garp can't tolerate this. If Garp were here and Saturn said this to Garp would punch him, right? Like, Garp would be like world war, yeah, it's worth it, you know what I mean? Like, Garp had no gripes because he hates them. Well, we don't know necessarily how much restraint he has, but I would imagine in this moment, like, he wouldn't like, he would say something, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think like, Garp would say something. I don't think he'd hit Saturn. Garp's a gentleman, right? Like, yeah, he'll hit Luffy, he'll hit Dragon probably, but I don't think he'd like actually hit a celestial dragon. I think Garp would look at him, clench the fist, and then leave and do his own thing.
Maybe Garp would be like, Garp would probably, I would like it if Garp was this kind of character, but he's not. Maybe he is, but Garp would be like, wait, aren't you human? What are you trying to say? And then he's even like, well, actually, we're redacted. And then, you know,
Garp would just drop a hot one-liner. But that's the thing too, like with Doberman, like, yes, he says understood, you know, like, yes sir, whatever, but I really feel like he doesn't like this whole like mindset that the Gorosei have, which I'm super excited for, man. Like, having the Marines and world government split, it just makes so much sense, especially with Akainu being the fleet admiral, because Akainu, you know, apparently in the Japanese translations, when Akainu was talking to the Gorosei, he was very rude. Like, he did not care about the Gorosei whatsoever. Like, they were simply a figurehead boss to him. So, you know, now is the best time to separate. Like, Sengoku, he does, I don't know if he likes celestial dragons or not, but he did kind of vouch for them a little bit, right? Like, he didn't make them seem like bad guys necessarily, whereas Sakazuki's like the complete opposite almost. So I'm actually kind of excited. I think Sakazuki can make a good change, as silly as that sounds.
And you know, yeah, like, it's, I'm curious to know how that the fallout of like this panel, I feel like these lines like transcend a lot, like, for in such a small thing, but like you said, like, Sakazuki doesn't like them, but Kizaru is here, but he's not like dealing with this, but then and there's Doberman and all that stuff. And so, you know, the Gorosei calling them insects, you know, just to give like a little highlight of something that my brain immediately went to was maybe there's a reason why, like, we have a very important character named Buggy. I wonder why Buggy is there. You know, maybe he's an insect that they can't get rid of. I mean, Buggy's kind of interesting, right? In a lot of ways. We know Oda has a lot of reasons behind naming some characters, and he told us a little bit about Buggy, but maybe there is more to it.
Yeah, we also have Weevil too.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, you can't get rid of these dang bugs, bro.
Yeah, wow. I'm surprised you know about the Weevil thing.
Oh, Weevil's very common. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I feel like not that many people know that it's a bug, a specific type of bug.
Yeah, Weevils are cool, man. I used to like dismember them all the time as a kid.
Yeah,
you like dismember them, you like roll them on the ground. You ever like do bowling with Weevils? Weevil body parts?
I have not, but what I'll
that's
let
popular
the
down
viewers
here.
know is we had an entire episode about this on the 50/50 about Sai's antics with insects. So Sai is through and through insects. A Gorosei member.
I love insects. They're just so fun to like
mother flaming.
Yeah,
he was mother flaming. He was.
I was mother flaming ant colonies. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
So
literally, like, actually, probably worse. Like,
yeah, I hit him with the Great Flood, the Great Fire. Like, no, I brought the 7 hells to him. So
I did too,
we go on and
like
we see York, and she's threatening the Ohara Buster Call on him. Like, hey, like, this place is gonna get burnt down. I think last time we talked about this, I referred to it as a barbecue, right? Like, Saint Saturn and the rest are gonna grill you guys up.
No, I don't know if you said it or I said it with I forget what it was. People called me out, but like, because I said Vegapunk and Dragon were just having a barbecue. I was like, oh shit. Because it just came out of my mouth and I was like, oh my god, that's so bad.
No, it's not bad.
Yeah,
the Ohara citizens are dead. They can't haunt you.
Yeah, it was in the thing where I was talking about. It might have been in relation to Sentamaru saying that it was a postcard to the barbecue. Like they were just like everyone was just happy on Ohara.
Yeah.
But
yeah. The postcard and everything. Yeah, they're just.
Yeah.
Ohara was a lovely place.
Yeah.
But you know, we get the Robin panel, and I like that she doesn't really react to that comment. I think that shows a lot of growth for her. Like, you know, hit her with this line pre-time skip and she's over here sweating. You know, Robin might run off and, you know, shed a tear real quick. But no, she's a big girl now. She simply smiles and just goes on with her day. I like that.
Do you think Robin could...
What's up?
Adult Robin.
Yeah.
We isekai her back to Ohara Pretty Buster Call. Instead of Saul that washed up on the shore, it was adult Robin. Can Robin stop the Buster Call?
No.
And without the admirals there. Without the admirals,
yes, but
okay.
You know,
okay.
Adult Robin demonio form, 5 vice admirals, Buster Call cannonballs. Yeah, I think she'd be fine.
5 vice admirals, adult Robin.
Well, because they'll look at Robin and say, we don't want to hurt this beautiful woman.
Yeah.
But if Akainu and Aokiji were there,
obvious.
No.
Yeah, I was
she
more
would not make it.
The Buster Call aspect, because like another reason why she's like calm right now is like she doesn't just have her, she has like
the crew
monsters.
Yeah, she's got the crew.
Like the amount of power, like these apparently the entire. I mean, the crew right now could have stopped that Akainu and Aokiji, right?
The crew right now could stop who?
Like if you were to take the Luffy, Zoro, Sanji, instead of Saul, they washed up. They could take Kuzan and Aokiji back then, right?
Or you mean Kuzan and Sakazuki?
I mean Sakazuki, yeah.
I mean as vice admirals, yeah. That's like them not in their prime though, yeah.
I mean like they're 40, 50 now, so that's when they're like 30.
Well, yeah, but they're not like that admiral level. Like they're still just vice admiral. Nah.
But that's what I'm saying, right? Like this crew would have, even a half of them would have saved Robin from Ohara.
Probably. We never know, man. Like we said, One Piece power scaling is wacky. Like it's whatever Oda wants, right?
I wonder why. Sometimes I think about like why Oda didn't have Kizaru there.
Like there's a reason why we didn't have like a full scale admiral fight yet. Like usually it's just like a couple clashes and then they go on. Like the admirals are here for the plot. And that's why with this chapter in the setup we have, I'm really hoping we do get that full on fight against Kizaru. Even though Luffy and the group just want to leave, I kind of hope we get that just so that we know where they actually are in the world in comparison.
I guess another perspective would be like, I've always had this I mean, this is a simple one, which is like, there's a reason why Kuzan and Sakazuki had to go to Punk Hazard, like this empty, barren wasteland. That's the only place they could realistically fight, because like everyone would die on the island if they fought like full force like they did. And we see the result of it, but we don't know what it looked like to get to that point, right? Maybe through Kizaru we get a glimpse of like, hey, against Luffy he has to get to that, he has to pull out that kind of power, that we start understanding Punk Hazard a little bit more. And that's, I don't even know what that means. You know what I mean? Like Kizaru, as far as light, like analogizing ice and magma, Punk Hazard terraforming to light terraforming. I don't know what that means. So maybe we get something, maybe we don't. I don't know. But like you said, I'm excited to see what Kizaru does here.
You know what's funny?
What?
Robin is injured. Not just Robin, but my man Kaku.
Uh-huh.
Kaku is the only person in this room who is lying on his back in bandages. Like some people have band-aids, some have like little wraps on them, but Kaku's like down for the count, man. We hate to see it. Who do you think? So Kaku, this wasn't even like him fighting outside sources or more Seraphim. It was just due to S-Hawk an S bear. And I'm embarrassed for the man.
Technically, Edison's in the same situation, but he's a little robot.
Well, yeah,
so
but nobody cares about Edison.
But they bandaged him. He's a robot, and they still gave him bandages. Is that just for feelings, or?
Well, the thing with Edison is that he's not a fighter, though, right? Like, imagine we bring in, like, a civilian, and they're, like, injured. It's not like, oh, Big L on this random citizen. Kaku, though, Kaku's, like, a fighter, though. He's an awakened Zoan, man.
See, I thought you were going to go this way. Do we know for sure that Kaku... Wait, how did Robin get injured? Did
Probably against York.
Against York? But we didn't... Do we see, like, what constituted these injuries? Like, I don't remember Robin being, like, hit. Yeah, so then with Kaku, do we know it was from the Seraphim, or is our theory... our Rule 34 theory that came out where it's like Kaku and a few women were missing in between the chapters, and now Robin's in bandages, Kaku's in bandages. Do they have a
It seems like they were just in the same room. And then plus Kaku says, even though I was just facing 2 of the Seraphim, I'm still ashamed of myself. So he got the injuries from the 2 Seraphim. So we actually see Lucci, and he's dropping some details on the group, right? Giving an update about the Seraphim, the Vegapunks, the injuries of the Straw Hats. And it looks like he's relaying that to the Gorosei and Kizaru. Do you think he's being truthful here? Because the theory I've seen people floating around is that Lucci might be feeding false info. Do you like that theory or nah?
So when I was reading it, I didn't register these lines where he's like, I'm just talking to myself, right?
Yeah.
And he said like the things, but it's hard to say because I think Oda did it intentionally where it's like Lucci gave enough information where most was he said for the state of the Vegapunk satellites, 4 are heavily injured and 2 are dead. As for the Straw Hat crew, and we don't know what he said. So given what he gave, none of that information is really necessary for whether a satellite 1 or 2 more exist or 1 or 2 more are gone, that doesn't change anything for the Marines or the Gorosei, right? Like, as long as they just care about York, right? So the part that does matter is the Straw Hat crew. The part that does matter is their plan. The part that does matter is like where the Thousand Sunny is, what they're gonna put the dome down. They're gonna use the Vega Force 1. That's the stuff that matters. And but Oda hid that from us. So I think it's justified to think that there is a world where Lucci betrays to a certain extent. I think that to a certain extent is important because I think maybe it'd be too... I think at this moment I'd be carried away to think that Lucci would be betraying them for the Straw Hats because he wants to work with the Straw Hats. I think that's still way too far. I think at the minimum, and I've always thought this even with the Alliance, it's going to be about him, right? Like, not that he's a selfish person, but like there's the thing about self-preservation, right? He's going to choose the winning side. He's going to choose what side allows him to kill. Luffy's side doesn't let him do that. So if push comes to shove, he'll side with the world government. I think what he's doing right now is creating the opportunity for the world government to be accepting of him again, because like you said off of 1089, it's a little weird for Lucci's situation, because if Lucci didn't do anything after 1089, the Gorosei, Kizaru, they just show up and they just see Lucci with the Straw Hats. It's a very awkward, hard thing to explain, but now he's leaked information that gets them on their good side. So security. If he can go back. But if their side is the losing side and they want to kill him, then he can go with the Straw Hats. And I think like the vagueness of this information is the important part about this, because I think there's a world where Lucci ends up, we both talked about it, ends up not with the world government by the end of it, but not necessarily with Luffy by the end of it. There's a huge gray area, and it all comes down to how Kizaru and Saint Saturn react to Lucci. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What happens if Lucci gives not wrong information, but like maybe incorrect information because things changed, or Usopp, Nami, the smart people on the Straw Hats knew that Lucci might do this, because there's been times like that, right, where like they expected information to leak, so they gave fake information. I feel like that was a plot line somewhere. And so they didn't say everything in front of Lucci. You know what I mean? They purposely said these things in front of Lucci so that he'd leak it, and then they went a different way, right? Like, it would be really... I would hope that Vegapunk at least did that. Like, hey, we can't trust CP0 there. Let's not say everything in front of CP0 or York, right? And so that's where I'm at with Lucci. I think that there's a world... I think he gave wrong information, but mostly right information. I don't know what to do with that. I don't know.
Oh, I think he gave out all the information he has. And I'm actually going to say that he even knows about their escape plan. So I'm going to go that far.
So then here's... this is the gray area I was talking about, right? He gives all the right information, but do you think... some people wouldn't say omitting is lying, right? What if he omits something?
I don't think he's going to omit.
Okay. See, that's where it's like, maybe he omits something, right? Maybe he omits, like, this is the last things. None of what he said was wrong. He's told them everything he knows. But if he omits, like, a key detail, that could be perfect. Like, the window of opportunity, that key detail could be, like, really, really important. But
with how this chapter is showing out and how Luffy's at the coastline, I think that if Lucci gave all of the right information... I think what Kizaru could do that could be, like, huge is that Kizaru might destroy Vega Force 1, because that is the Straw Hat's plan of getting out of here. I think Kizaru is going to destroy that Vega Force 1 ASAP. Which, I mean, obviously he could do, right? Defeating Luffy, you know, people can debate about that all they want. We don't really know the answer. But Vega Force 1, Kizaru just blowing up that robot, yeah, you could definitely do that. So if that is, like, Luffy's main plan of escape, and if Lucci does know about it and he fed that information... I feel like that's what's going to happen. We're going to lose out on Vega Force 1, and then we won't have an ideal way to get off this island, which brings me to my, you know, little headcanon theory that maybe we use the ancient robot from 200 years ago in place of Vega Force 1. Maybe we do find the power source, whether it's the Mother Flame or Sun God Nika, or maybe even music with the Drums of Liberation. I feel like something is going to power up that robot, and that's how we're going to get out of here.
I like that. I like that because the legendary Iron Giant is on the ground. So in order for them to use that, they have to now go leave the dome, go down, get that, power it up. But Vegapunk also said they can't power it up fully, or I don't remember exactly his wording, but he said that, like, we don't know the power source. Like, it's not, he didn't say that he can't revive it. It was more like there's a power source that we don't have. So it might be that we get to see the difference between the Undying Flame and the Mother Flame, which if the Mother Flame, the power plant is here, they will use that last one on the legendary Iron Giant. In doing so, the legendary Iron Giant has a time limit. Like, they can't use it forever because it's not a perfect Undying Flame. That one gets rid of the Undying Flame from the Gorosei. That also gets rid of it for the Straw Hats, for Vegapunk. Now, if they lose Egghead, they can't recreate it. It takes a huge, like this is a Lucia level thing. It's gone now, right? I think that really, really does work well. And then on top of that, now we would get a stepping stone into what the Undying Flame is by learning what the Mother Flame is. So I think that does really work out.
So when they leave, you know, if they take the Iron Giant with them or not, they're going to go to Elbaf. That is where they want to go ideally, right? Because the log pose hasn't reset yet. It's still locked onto the next island, or the one of the 3 islands they could have gone to. Which is kind of funny since Luffy wanted to go to Elbaf to begin with. You know, he picked the Middle East, and
the Middle East is crazy.
Yeah.
That's why
and then Kid took it. He took the Middle East. So Luffy had to go to Punk Records.
Leave it to Kid for the Middle East. That's crazy.
Leave it to Kid to go there. Yeah. But now Luffy's finally gonna get his thing, which kind of makes me wonder. You know how, like, Law and Beppo, they were leaving from the Blackbeard fight? So somebody brought up an idea, and they're like, hey, what if the log post didn't reset for them too, and they actually end up going to Elbaf because that's the only, like, magnetic force they're locked onto, and that's the closest one. And I'm like, yo, we're about to get all 3 of our boys at Elbaf if everything works out.
Yeah, I've thought about that too. I mean, the joke was there where I was saying, like, Kid got hit like beat so far off of Elbaf that he was based probably on Winter. He was probably closer to Winter's Island than he was to Elbaf, because Shanks literally flew looked like miles to him.
Yeah.
And as far as like everybody coming back to Elbaf, I'd see that, right? Like the most I wanted to go with that idea was that Law, Beppo, Kid, Killer, like all the crew, they end up in the same place because the currents, right? Like if they're all underwater, the currents end up taking them to the same place. I doubt Polar Bear Beppo can outswim currents, like deep sea water currents, if they are there, right? Especially because he's injured and hurt, whatever. But if you were to say that they all end up on Elbaf, I like Kid too. That's a little lame, because like but then again, you can meme and say like, oh, like it makes sense that he lands on Elbaf because technically he didn't even make it there yet and he was being so far off. Like now he gets to land and Shanks leaves, so then he gets to be there. But I just feel like that's the weird part where it's like, so Kid got beat off of Elbaf just to like wash up ashore. It's cool. Like I
feel like that makes the most sense. I feel like Kid going anywhere else than Elbaf next is just strange. Like almost imagine he gets beat off the coast of Elbaf, and then he's like, "Well, I'm on the next island now." It's like, all right. Like, what about Elbaf though?
Yeah, like don't get me wrong. Like I've thought, Kid coming back in the story has been the top idea, like in terms of if I were to rank them. And then like as far as where would he be, Elbaf was there, right? Elbaf is there. I felt like maybe there was an in-between place, maybe that was underneath Elbaf, but like I didn't think that it was just like straight up Elbaf. What I had imagined was, in that higher priority position, was Shanks's crew, Shanks's people imprison Kid. Like they have Kid, he gets taken to Elbaf because they lock him up, like he's with Barto or something, right? But then, so as far as Tyr goes, I would almost prefer that he just dies than just washes up on Elbaf and then he's just fine. Like when people are like, oh, he's dead, and then people threw out the idea like, oh, he washes up and then he befriends Loki, and then Loki and him combine and they battle off the other giants because whatever. Or the flip side, he beats up the other. I'm like, I'd prefer he's just dead. Like, don't stop it. I don't want to see Kid do that kind of shit. But like, I see Kid doing that stuff. If they all show up on Elbaf, the other reason why I wouldn't like it is a harsh word, but it's like, man, like we had them together on Wano, like we had them together on Onigashima.
That's where I'm at. It's like, man, we just said goodbye to these guys and here we are meeting them. I don't timeline's weird because like I don't know if we'll meet them this year, in terms of manga, but it's like we are meeting them very soon. Like it feels too soon almost, but it's the final saga. We're gonna have to meet them eventually in the same saga. So it's like, okay, I guess better late than never. But I don't know.
And at the end of the day, right? Like Buggy has like not Yonko. That's scary, but like billion berry people at the top, and like Luffy does too. But like if Luffy's gonna be the Yonko and Law and Kid are the lower ring, like maybe like this is like, on Saba Odi, Kid said next time we'll meet we'll be enemies, right? Something like that. And they were like, oh, we're rivals. And then but now they got neutered. Like Law and Kid both got neutered.
They lost their ships.
Their ships and the poneglyphs. They have no right to the Pirate King thing anymore.
Poneglyph. Law had to leave behind his crew. I don't even know how many people out of Kid's crew are alive still, and that's the thing too. It's like, yeah, they're gonna be rivals still, but like, are they really? Like what do you do after that?
But that's the question, right? Because before the raid, we now countered what they said on Sabodi. Sabodi, they said next time we meet, we're enemies. And then before the raid, now they're going into an alliance, right? And the alliance temporary because they want to keep this front of we're enemies, whatever. And then the end of it, they're like, oh, peace. We're going to choose different islands because why would we be friends? We're enemies going through the thing. But maybe
they're going to be friends again. This
is like fate, like telling Law and Kid, like, yo, you guys are not Himothy's. Go join Luffy's side, bend the knee, do whatever, drink the sake, join his fleet. Because like, hey, you lost your crew, you lost your ship, you lost your poneglyphs. You're on Elbaf. You're literally El Bozo. Like, there's no other thing. And so maybe this is the time. Like, when we really think about it, Law got carried through the new world by Luffy. Why would he think anything changed? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
it's so weird too, because if there was a time skip, I feel like Law and Kid could come back as genuine rivals, right?
Yeah.
They could have some poneglyphs under their belt again, and they could be a threat. But here's the thing. I don't think we're getting another time skip before we find the One Piece. There's not enough time for them to recoup their crew and build a brand new ship. Like,
yeah.
there just really is. Like, Kid. Like, I want to believe that Kid's going to come back and do something impactful, and I feel like he still will. But I don't know if that'll be alone, you know, like him, you know, his own crew, because like he needs to rebuild that ship, and that ship was a memento. Like, I feel bad for Kid, because the Punk I bring it up all the time. Punk Victoria is named after his dead girl. It's like, dang, man, like, how do you replace that? You know,
giants.
Like he just lost the Sunny, or not the Sunny. He just lost the Going Merry. It's like, dang.
You watch two giants blow her back out, bro.
That's so sad. I mean, maybe there's crazy karma returns on Elbaf, because when we saw the Noah get wrecked, you know, the Sea Kings were like, oh, let's bring the ship to them. They'll repair it. Maybe they brought it to Elbaf, and maybe they are legendary carpenters, and they do build Law and Kid a new ship. Or maybe they pilot the Noah. Who knows, man? Like, I don't know what's in store for those two guys, but I do think we'll meet up with them on Elbaf. Whether or not that's too soon or not, I would love to see what other people think, but I feel like it's in the cards.
Kid and Law are actually kind of solid for the Noah. Like, Kid could do a lot with the Noah. In terms of powering it, he could do it. But it's funny you brought the giants, the Sea King thing. I just talked about this with a few people because of a short I posted, and I was like that's a healthy line of logic that the Sea Kings are bringing the giants. But then I asked the people, I was like, so then why did the Sea Kings leave the Noah at the sea forest?
Hey, we don't ask that question. I don't know
like,
why.
I was just like,
here's another thing. Noah. It makes sense why it's on Fishman Island, because, you know, Shirahoshi is going to be the one that brings it to the world, and, you know, she'll control the Sea Kings. But at the same time, it's like, it has nobody guarding it, man. Like, you think the Neptune Army doesn't even go around that ship. Like, it's like abandoned almost. Like, well, I don't know. Just leave it with the giants, man. Those guys are feared.
Yeah, so as far as like, I don't know what Joy Boy or anybody was thinking with like.
But I guess you can't move it was just Noah, right? Like,
yeah, that's the thing. I think it was just there because it was supposed to do something, right? But like, when I asked them, I was like, so you think that the Sea Kings were referring to the giants? So then why did they drop it at the Sea Forest? Because the short was saying that it was the Sea Forest where it would be fixed, and that was part of the thing. And I was like, so do you think that the Sea Kings just got tired? Like they just needed a pit stop to drop the ship, or they needed a break? I was like, these are Sea Kings. Like they just like,
they were probably moving, and they're like, oh wait, the comm bell, we can't leave this area.
I was like, what?
They're like scratching their head at traffic.
Because in reality, they said we need to bring it to the people who could fix it, and then they proceeded to leave it in the sea forest of ships. And that was the point. And so people are like, oh no, they're gonna bring it to the giants. I was like, so then why do they say that? And
maybe
then
Clobotermans fix it.
That's the theory. That was the theory.
It's like a forest full of Cloboterman. That'd be so scary, man. If I was walking around a forest at night and I see like a bunch of like shadow people hammering a ship, I would run. I might actually cry. I have a tear welling up in my eye right now just thinking about it. I hate ghosts.
So that was the entire thing. It's like in chapter
so
616, we were told that if a ship sinks, it washes up there. It's the graveyard of all ships. The sea currents, for some reason, bring all the ships there. And I was like, what clan would be better to fix a giant monstrosity of a ship than a clan of ships?
Dang, you're gonna have like endless ship slave labor.
Exactly.
Dang,
exactly.
Like these guys are like, man, I got nothing better to do. You know, I guess I might as well fix up the Noah.
Well, the thing about the ships, right? What we learned from legendary shipwright was like the ship's purpose is like to bring people from point A to point B, and these ships are stuck there, not able to do that. And if they know about this grand ship that the whole point of is to bring an entire island to another island,
it's like a collective dream. Yeah.
Yes, that was the thing. And,
you know what?
So what?
Oh no, go for it.
No. Wait, what were you gonna say? Are you gonna co-sign it? You like it?
I was gonna co-sign. I like the idea.
Yeah. So that's a short. I mean, it's what a lot of people watched it. It was a good one, but then so a lot of people said it was dumb. I was like, what parts were dumb?
No,
and then
it
they're
makes
like,
sense. Graveyard of ships with the Cloboterman. And here's the thing too. Oda likes ship graveyards. You know how much he likes it, bro? He likes it so much. It was actually in the One Piece Grand Line Adventure game. There's actually like a whole secret area of the game called the Graveyard of Ships.
Yeah.
And it's like, yo, like, let me tell you, I could have swore as a kid playing that game, like, I look behind me every now and then. I was like, oh, God, it's Cloboderman. You know, like, this theory's been brewing for a minute.
Exactly. And as far as, like, mythologies and folklores that Oda can pull from to make to the series, Clobodermans are the closest ones to pirates and seafaring of all, because that's an actual folklore. That's an actual mythology, if you will, from pirating days, from sailing days, early sailing days. Word for word, Cloboderman. That's a thing.
We need a bus to call that for us.
And that's why I've been like on the boat that like Clobodermans are gonna come back one way or the other, even outside of the Sunny. Like I wouldn't be surprised if there's a Void Century Cloboderman. Like there's so much there for it. Pluton Cloboderman. Like, you know, I really like that idea, but yeah, that was a quick aside about the Sea Kings. Why did we talk about the Sea Kings?
We're talking about them because of Carpenters on Elbaf and the Noah.
Yeah. Oh, and the ships and the kid and the law and them being on Elbaf.
Yeah.
So going back to that part that isn't even part of the chapter was the whole thing of like, I personally, the only part of it that I would like is getting Kid to humble himself a little bit, join Luffy's side, be like, yes, I am sorry for thinking I'm this guy.
No, I don't think we need that. With you. No.
I'm saying if they come back and they're all on Elbaf, because the whole point is like you said the same thing. If they lost their crew, they lost their ship, they lost everything. What's the point of them coming back if they're gonna?
But that's the thing. That's still that like Kid's character. He's a hard ass, man.
Like, yeah, but you want the same Kid to come back, or you want a different Kid? I want a Bellamy version of Kid.
No, I don't think we're gonna get a Bellamy version of Kid. I feel like he's still gonna be his own guy. I mean, whether or not he joins the Straw Hat fleet, or whether or not he helps out a little bit, I still think he's gonna be that guy where he thinks he is Timothy, right? Maybe he's like, just give me like a week, like I'm gonna train up, I'm gonna get revenge on that red-haired man. As fruitless as that sounds, like I feel like he's not going to do a 180 on his character where he just comes to Luffy and bows at his feet. I don't think that's in the cards.
I'm not saying that's gonna, like, go Bellamy against, did.
That's going to go against his like whole morals,
Not real. He's pretty tsundere.
He's tsundere, but he's very tsundere, but I don't think he's going to like compromise on that. Like I don't think he's going to like go to Luffy and say, "Yo, please, let me I want to live."
But Luffy also wouldn't want that either. You know what I mean?
Wouldn't want that either. Like that's why I'm saying like I think Kid and Law, even though they both lost their crews, lost their ships, I think they're still going to want to be their own individual person. Like they wouldn't want to join Luffy. Like join him. You know what I mean?
What if they, Law and Kid, make a pirate crew?
I could see that. I could see them allying with each other. I could even see them allying with Luffy. I just don't think they're going to be like flying the Straw Hat Jolly Roger is what I mean.
Yeah. And then we abandon and then the crew would be called like the Heartless Pirates, because like they got rid of the Heart Pirates. Yeah, and then it's the characters we care about, right? Law, Beppo, Kid, and Killer. That's all we need. Get rid of the rest, right?
Honestly, yeah. I mean, Heat, Wire, like Shachi, Penguin, like I don't know, man. Maybe keep those guys. Keep the people with names, right? Like Heat, Wire, Shachi, Penguin. Get those guys in here, and then like just call that a crew. It'd be a strong crew.
You know what?
It'd be like water. It's actually Water and Fire, right?
What? Oh yeah.
Yeah, because Shachi and Penguin and like Law's crew do like mainly water-based attack, and then Kid's like all about the fire, or at least we'll like Heat and Wire. Yeah.
Yeah, well, their passion is fire. They have no fire, actually. But on that note, and tying it back to Egghead now, with the whole like the Straw Hats, Vegapunk. Right now, from what we're supposed to know, is that they're, going on a trajectory towards Elbaf. I just realized, like Elbaf isn't useful for Law. It's not even useful for Kid. Yeah, we could say a ship, but the real use is Vegapunk. Vegapunk is insane for both Law and Kid, right? Kid's devil fruit. Just give it to Vegapunk. Stop it. Like, just donate his imagine if Vegapunk can copy Kid's and god,
they're both paramecia. You could technically just turn Law. Imagine a group full of Ope no Mi users. I mean, it's just the paramecia, right? It's not like anything special. It's not a Logia, so Vegapunk could actually recreate it given enough resources and money. And even Law, like Kid's devil. Like, imagine we see like an army of giants with green blood. That would be kind of nuts. Would you?
I'm terrified.
if you went to the hospital and the doctor's like, hey, buddy, do you want green blood? Do you want a green blood transfusion? Would you say yes?
Yeah.
I'd say yes, yeah.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
for powers, yeah, that'd be kind of cool. Wait, green blood, that's I forgot. That's from The
SpongeBob
Boys,
reference.
too.
Oh.
That's a The Boys reference, because they got, like, green blood in that show, and that gives people superpowers. Spoiler alert for Season 3, but,
Yeah,
I mean, if
spoilers
you didn't
for
watch Season 3, and it's been, like, 2 years, come on.
Spoiler for SpongeBob, they have something called the kelp shake, and it gets
the kelp shake. Yay! It's The Boys and SpongeBob coming together, and
That's
One
where
Piece.
my brain went.
Have you seen Luffy's original Jolly Roger?
Like the one he made, or the one
the
like,
one
Oda had
from
a
Romance
concept?
Dawn, like the OG version. It's so
I don't
scuffed.
remember it.
I don't know why I'm bringing this up, but I made a short about this, and the Jolly Roger's so funny because it's a really badly drawn pirate skull. Not like badly drawn like Luffy drew it, but like, Oda, he didn't really have the pirate cross and bones like nailed down yet, so it looked kind of goofy. But also, instead of a straw hat, well, no, it had the straw hat, but instead of the crossbones, it had arms. It had 2 arms doing this.
What?
Yeah, look it up.
Oh,
It looks so
I remember
goofy.
that. Wait,
I'm
what do I
so
look
glad
up,
we didn't
straw?
get that. Because imagine if I saw Luffy's Jolly Roger float up across like the horizon, I'd be like, yo, this guy's about to touch me. Like, I'd be like, yo, Luffy's about to touch me right now. I need to get out of here. Like, I don't know. There's just something strange about having giant hands as a Jolly Roger. Like two arms just like spreading out there. You know what I mean?
This is kind of important. Well, I don't know if the skull that you're talking about, it looks alien-like. The original one?
I don't think
because
way
that
I think it's just like not well drawn. But then again, that's like Oda back in like 1996, right? That's like Oda not in his prime. That's Oda early stage of astigmatism. Like he's not. He didn't nail.
No,
and then you look at Luffy, and then you look at Nami, and it's like, okay, you can see why these are all prototypes and not like wanting to be super alien.
A little bit of pushback because he's always been good at art ever since he's a kid.
Oh yeah,
but when it came to One Piece, the hard part was he developed a style he never had before with One Piece. So that's where I'd get, because like he was an assistant at like thing for several other people, but then he also has said like he apparently his first form of art was like photorealistic art. And I was like, what? That's crazy. And then, but for One Piece, he went really out of his comfort zone for this art style. And so the art style that we develop over the One Piece years, it's him getting used to this kind of thing, which, now we know with like Rubber Hose, he was trying to incorporate that so it wouldn't feel so weird later on, right? Because imagine we had like actual like insane anatomy and then Oda introduced Rubber Hose like later on, it would feel so jarring. But because he started off with something that already feels good with Rubber Hose, it works really well. But that's why I'm like, I think that this is an actual alien thing, because Oda drew this is so if anybody knows, first chapter, the note before the chapter even starts, he has an alien there, and this looks kind of similar to that alien mask thing that he had in the first chapter's note for One Piece. But the other part of it is the hands. So in the 4th chapter, he tells us the importance of Jolly Rogers, and it was that the crossbones on a Jolly Roger are the thigh bones. And so him making the cross thing, not that, and hands that don't cross on Luffy's thing, now I'm kind of like, that's different. He probably had a lot of insight into what he was trying to do there, but then he realized like it's not worth putting the meaning there. He can show off that meaning elsewhere without it being so like weird, because if he changed like Luffy's Jolly Roger, then like pirate Jolly Rogers will look so different, right? So then it's like, oh, this is definitely something meaningful. So Oda decided to like, oh no, I'll just use a regular Jolly Roger instead of going so out of the box here. But I'm glad you showed me that. I completely forgot about
Shanks
this.
also had a slightly different flag too. Oh, slightly different in just the fact that like the skull was more I don't even know how to explain it. Realistic?
Oh, I see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of
it looked more intimidating. Yeah. Shanks's flag, like Shanks's OG flag, looks really nice.
See, if we saw that flag though, then it's like, then the theory, it's like, oh, he's
a
Rox's
bad guy.
kid.
Yo, yeah, like you look at Shanks's original flag, you're like, man, this is a bad guy showing up, right? Like, like you see Luffy's flag, you're like, man, this guy's gonna touch me. Shanks, he's gonna kill me.
Yeah. They're both doing the same thing, just one scarier than the other. You decide.
Actually, the Luffy's flag reminds me of Hands Across America. You remember that?
Yeah, I think Hands.
The one where like it's like that little like creepy poster with everybody like holding hands.
Yeah, OG from this was before us though, right?
Well, yeah, this is before us, but like this would be like Oda's era, you know? Like I'm sure Oda heard 80s. About Hands Across America and how creepy that is, but you know how nice it is, but how creepy it is as well.
Yeah, it meant well.
It meant well, but god dang, like when you say go grab your neighbor's hand and stand outside, it's like woo.
Die in 2023.
So we cut over and we see some Cypher Pole agents in the basement, and they're eating food. Now these guys are gobbling down, as I like to say, and they're really happy. They don't even see the Straw Hats as their enemies anymore. They are living the life. You got people dancing in the background with drumsticks saying Straw Hats. Like, do you think these are going to be bad guys, or do you think they've completely switched sides? I think they're still going to be world government agents, but I feel like if the Straw Hats roll by, I feel like one of those things you turn a blind eye to, right? Yeah, the Straw Hats are attacking Marie's Raw. What are you talking about? I don't see them anywhere. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah, I think they'll get they'll give a pass or two. That's kind of what you do.
Yeah,
right?
You got to give a pass. Pay them back.
I mean, the thing is, it's not like, again, it's not that they were here for a day or 2 days. They were here for 2 months.
Eating slop.
Or longer.
Dude, if this is Sanji's food. Oh.
Yeah.
Sanji's food after 3 months.
Yeah, like Jin switched sides after being starved for like a day or like 2 days, and then just eating his meal. And he turned on his whole goddamn crew, his captain. He beat up Pearl, right?
He was
like
crying.
Pearl,
he couldn't even kill off Sanji too.
Yeah, like Sanji and Luffy, not that they were struggling with Pearl, but Jin put Pearl down. Like, not just like, hey, not like Zoro put Sanji down before Kuma. Like, he gave him that love tap on the side because he knew that's all he needed. No, Jin knocked Pearl's ass down.
We never saw Pearl again. Not even in the cover stories, the OVAs. Like, no. Pearl is gone.
Yeah,
Pearl might actually be dead.
He didn't even come back in the live action.
Yeah, hasn't he been Cassia in the live action? No, like
he's so dead.
He deleted him from all forms of media. Like, I don't even think we saw Pearl in the in like the One Piece. What is it, like the roller skates, like the ice skating thing? Don Krieg is there. Geen is there. Tomorrow Black is there. Pearl isn't, bro. Like, Pearl is gone.
No, it's not even. This isn't even power scaling Jin's power to. No. This is Sanji's cooking.
This is Sun God Nika level, like, reality breaking attack. Like,
that's why.
All because of
believe it or
Sanji's
not,
cooking.
The 90-minute Sanji video I have is like 40 minutes about the cooking. But the point being here is like this thing, right? That they are. This is unheard of. Zeph, Sanji, right? Like, Sanji became Zeph's whole ass child after Zeph gave him food for what was it, like 2 weeks? Was it 2 weeks, or how many days
something
were they?
Like
40,
that.
It was like 2 weeks or 40 days or something like that. And Zeph gave him food, and Sanji's like, I am now your child forever. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I'm gonna help this old man build a restaurant.
Yeah,
like, food changes people, bro.
Yeah, and these guys 2 months. There,
this is some Gordon Ramsay level stuff right here. We're cooking.
It's like these dudes, you know, they're gonna show up in the Grand Fleet at the end of the series.
Like, this is the Elaine Ducasse influence, man. Like, and here's the thing too, you know, Doberman in this. I feel like something big is going to happen, and these guys are going to be a key part, because Doberman in this chapter said, yo, Cypher Pole agents, we got to save them, you know, whatever. And then, you know, skipping ahead a little bit, the vice admirals even think about saving them too. Like, they just want to save their boys. And when they save the boys, and the boys are like, hey, the Straw Hat Pirates did us a solid. Please don't hurt them. Like, what do you do? Like, if these guys beg Doberman and the vice admirals to say, hey, please, let's just leave the Straw Hats alone. They helped us. They saved us. Like, as a Marine officer and, you know, looking at your friends over here, like, what would you do? Like, you kind of have to not let the Straw Hats get hurt. I don't know. Like, this is where the world's government and Navy split. Like, I feel like it's being sown, bro. It's being sown in the annals of history.
As much as like we were a little bit memeing off the Baratie stuff, but like going that far, but Oda is making an entire thematic around food, right? Look at the end of Wano. What did Luffy's like Kaido's last words that he heard from another human being was, my friends
food.
Are gonna eat. Yeah, my friends are
my
gonna
friends
eat.
Eating.
And then look at what happened to Mary-Joie. Like the Revs, one of their three of their trident missions, the 3 missions, one of them was to destroy their food, to starve them out. Food is huge for One Piece, for Luffy, for this, for Bonnie, for so much.
I think Oda doesn't like world hunger.
And I would go as far to say is that maybe we're not wrong on this, like this panel being important. Like
it's a double spread.
Yeah, these Cypher Pole agents being fed food is a core thing for One Piece, to the point I wouldn't be surprised if they end up like changing the plot a little bit. You know what I mean? Like they're gonna have the power at some point in the story, and it'll be crazy if it's not in Egghead. You know what I mean? Like it's in the last saga where it's like these guys are in Cypher Pole and there's something that the Marines can do, and you're like, it's like the Bon Clay type of thing. You know, like Luffy's everyone's leaving Impel Down, the gates of justice open. You're like, who did it? And Bon Clay's my friends. You know what I mean? He's all like singing for them.
It's just the Cypher Pole agents.
Yeah,
or it'd be like a Kaguya thing where like Emu's about to attack Luffy, and then the Cyberpole agents like start boxing.
I wouldn't go that. I just want them to
like
open
a Kainu, you know, a Kainu versus Luffy, and then these guys hop in and they start fighting a Kainu, like holding him back. Oh yeah, I see where you're going, Par.
I see.
You know, we're vibing, same wavelength and everything. Yeah. I see. Well, what do they call it? They call it the Par vision, right? yo, I'm locked in. I'm putting on the seatbelt, Par. It's time to rock and roll with these theories.
You got your LASIK surgery and shit. Your astigmatism's gone. Like, oh, no way. No, like, I'm like,
I see where you're going,
like,
man.
I just want them to open a goddamn door. You want them to roast their
we want this part.
Like
we're rocking with this one.
Listen. They like a Kainu is about to like melt ass, right? And they're like, not Luffy's ass, my ass first.
You know how like the Admiral's blocked Whitebeard's attack by doing this. The Cyberpunk agents are just like, stop, don't hurt Luffy.
No, they got Hockey sick. Bloom off of the food.
Hockey Bloom conquers Hockey. It's not even touching.
My ass is here sitting. Like we get like
you're right.
like nah, you're right.
You right, Par.
I was thinking like their backs are to the thing, and they're like, thanks for itadakimasu. Like that's just like a thing. You know what I mean? There's like thanks for the food, and then they just open a door. Hey, maybe they're in the last panel of One Piece. Like, you know what I mean? Like when like the last panel of all of One Piece is thank you for the food. That is the dialogue, and these guys make a cameo there. It could be as simple as that, right? But like,
hey, I mean, I think the other option's more realistic.
Yeah, definitely.
You know how like Oda ends. Whenever Oda takes like a big break in the year, like 4-week break, he ends on like a crazy cliffhanger, double page spread. Imagine it's these guys just doing that. Like that's the ender. Oda draws all these boys up, and he's like, oh, I could take a 5-week break now. Like they're gonna love this. The fan base is gonna eat this one up.
It'd be funny if that happens, right? And then they do that, and we get a cliffhanger, and then they stop whatever is coming their way. They do, right? And then they're like, they close
Kaido
their
and Big
eyes.
Mom, they stop it like Zoro did.
No, not like that. But they close their eyes. They're like, and then they see that it stopped, and then we see like the giant pacifistas are behind them doing the same thing, but because they had the bubble shield, and it's
or it could be like everybody who's ever eaten food. So maybe Gin pops in. Maybe Pearl's ghost
summon them.
Oh, like, Pearl's ghost, like the father and son Hamehameha. Like Pearl's ghost is behind them. Like I understand, Gin. You know what I mean? I see where you're going.
Endgame, like Doctor Strange opens up portals. Everybody who's had a meal with the Straw Hats is portal in.
There's, okay, jokes aside, I feel like we will get in Endgame's level, like a portal, maybe not portal, but, I feel like they're all going to show up, right?
Yeah, with
like the fleet.
Brule and Bluno, they're going to bring in everybody.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then it's going to be like Brule and Bluno are all post up like this, like back to back. Like...
And then you see the Cyberpol agents walking in behind them.
Yeah. Oh, this is such a scuffed headcanon.
It's the best headcanon. It's the Par vision, man. Come on.
No, it's
this. What do you call it? You call this the member exclusive theory, right? This is the members exclusive theory we're pushing.
You're not
Hey,
wrong.
yo, we leaking it here, guys.
It's funny because I'll push it back, and then like for members, you just see me like, oh my god, guys, the craziest theory right now. These Cypher Pull agents, watch out, Emu. You don't know what's coming. The hockey bloom is insane. Not only do they have advanced conquerors,
I thought about that. I thought about for like my next thumbnail, I just put like a Cyberpol, like nameless Cyberpol agent as the headliner.
Just a dude in a suit.
It's just a dude in a suit. Yeah, I'd go hard, man.
That'd be no. Then just find a random One Piece character that's in a suit and just put Cypher Pull in the thumbnail.
Just clickbait.
No one's gonna, if it's a random Cypher Pull agent, no one's gonna know anyways.
You don't know that. Some people love the Cypher Pull agents like me.
No way.
No, we're out there, man.
Them.
We're out there.
The day Oda starts giving them blood types and birthdays like everybody else, like there's a snowman that has a birthday, but these Cypher Pull agents don't have names. Like,
I kind of wish they got names. Like, I would like to imagine, when Usopp's talking to him, imagine they say like, "Oh, Yachiru, what are you doing down there?" Like just name drop some of these guys. Yeah, name drop them.
If we get name boxes for 2 or 3 of these dudes or names, then I think we're onto something. But like the recycle cur, right? Like that had a name box, right?
And we're still thinking about that guy.
Yeah, exactly. And only you or I could be still talking about recycle.
It's because we're dumb. Like people are like, man, sometimes Syv and Par, like they kind of reach, but I'm like, brother, we're over here talking about the chapter for like 2-3 hours, man. Like we gotta talk about something, right? Like that's what we're here. We're here to talk about like the nuances of the chapter and how the Cyberpol agents are gonna beat Emu.
And we find out we just ended up talking about this dog that showed up for one panel. In
yeah.
1060. Oh my god.
We're over here talking about like Yorick having no neck. It's like that's what we're here for.
Hey, watch. Oda's one of our listeners. I'm convinced the cover stories, the chapters. And so
I don't know if I told you next, my cat's name is actually Kuro.
Oh, I thought you said Oda. I was like,
no, I'm not gonna name my cat Oda. That's kind of strange.
Coda.
I named him after an author I read. There's Oda. There's J.K. Rowling over there. I got Fyodor like hanging out in the closet. They're all chilling, man.
You chose some pretty tame authors, all things considered. There were some other authors I knew you wanted to say, but just to think that's
I can't bring that up. Let's just say off call. Me and Par talked about some authors that were questionable. But going on with the chapter, we see the Seraphim are in bubbles. Woo! Everybody get in your safety bubble. The internet's here. So they're in their bubbles. And we learn that, we already knew it, but it has properties of the sea. They can't activate their devil fruit powers. They're weakened, all that good stuff. And we even see the fake Yoru, like, sitting outside the bubble, so Mihawk can't even cut that. What do you think about this?
Oh, that was supposed to be the Yoru?
Yeah, it looks bad, doesn't it? Like the more you look at that sword, the cheaper it looks.
Wait, there's no way that's supposed to be... I guess that's
supposed to be Yoru.
Thin. The Yoru
it's not like the real Yoru, right?
Yeah, but like it looked like it before, didn't it?
Man, Vegapunk's he's an inventor. He's not a blacksmith.
What? Hold on.
Yeah, that's Yoru. I mean, there's no other sword in the series that has like a guard like that. Like, and they put it in front of the Mihawk bubble. If that is not Yoru and just a random sword, I would be amiss. Like, if Oda just drew a random sword in front of the Mihawk Seraphim that just so happens to have the same guard as Yoru, I'd be like, okay, stop. Like, what are we doing here? That is 1000% fake Yoru.
People are like, yo, Par believes in so many things, but he can't fathom that is the...
Yeah,
oh my, I just went back. Yo,
why can't you fathom this?
No, it's not that I can't fathom it. It's just like, you know what it's like? this is like a knockoff.
Margot
right?
Robbie
But,
versus a actual Barbie doll.
I guess that's actually that's a solid analogy. I was gonna say it's like you know, a knockoff Gucci thing, right? Or like knockoff Gucci's pretty good nowadays, but like a
That's
knockoff.
pretty solid. I bought some the other day. Don't tell my wife.
I just watched something. Someone 3D printed a Lamborghini, and Lamborghini actually helped them because they're like, "Yo, that's sick." As opposed to Ferrari. Ferrari would have sued them, but Lamborghini gave them an entire dashboard. I was like, "What?" The guy just called them and said, "Yo, I'm 3D printing a Lamborghini. What can you do?" And they're like, "Here's a dashboard." So he 3D printed an entire Lamborghini, and it has a Corvette engine, and it's like from far away, it looks like a Lambo, right? But until like, and hey, for most people, when you sit in it, it is a Lambo until you sit in a real Lambo, and then you're like, oh, that's the difference. That's the difference between this and that, right? Like this is a 3D printed Yoru, actually. Like,
yeah, it's not looking. It's small too. Like, yeah, it's for a kid, but like he can't grow into this, right? Like, I feel like once this S-Hawk Seraphim grows up, he needs a new sword. Like that's embarrassing.
Yeah, and on top of the fact that, again, this is something we brought up previously, but like, and people in the comments were just like, Par's on some cocaine or some shit because the Seraphims aren't huge, and I'm like, they literally are huge.
Yeah, they're pretty tall.
Yeah, the wiki shows it. There's multiple chapter panels where we get like the S-Hawk is taller than Zoro. I think S-Hawk is
I think these Seraphim are like the same size as Sentomaru, actually.
Yeah, like S-Shark is the same size as Jinbei, and it's baby Jinbei. Like, that means it's huge.
These guys are big, man. I mean, I guess here's the thing too. Like, I know people are like, oh, they're kids, you know, why are they so tall since they're based off of like their version? But they have that Lunarian DNA, and King was massive.
Yeah, true.
Like King was like 5 Zoros, man.
It could just be King. Like, someone brought that up, and
DNA's nuts.
I like that comment because like they were, you know, actually being like reasonably critical, and they're like, it might not be giant, it might just be Lunarian. And I was like, oh, you're right. I completely forget that King is huge. Like
even Kid King standing by Kaido was like only half his size. It's like, yo, like King as a teenager is pretty big too.
Yeah, and then King versus Zoro is such a meme in the anime because he's like, Zoro looks like a Tentata next to King. Like, it's crazy. But like, as far as the sword go, the thing that I was bringing up was like, had I not realized that was the Yoru, that's just a sword. But because now that's the Yoru, looking back, it's crazy how much your brain autocorrects. Like, because I swear it had the Yoru hill, and it's all because it was like wielded by someone that. Yeah, it's because my brain autocorrected.
They didn't even paint it black. Look at that. Yeah, that's crazy.
The black paint, and it's because it's held by someone who looks actually like Mihawk. That you're like, oh, it's Mihawk. Oh, it's Yoru, right? The brain autocorrect. That's wild because now it's so scuffed looking. I look back, I'm like, oh my god.
And you gotta remember, this is post-op Oda. Like, this is no astigmatism 2020 vision Oda, and he said, hey, you know, like, I'm gonna draw this thing skinny.
He's like, you guys need your eyes checked. You thought he was holding the Yoru? No, this shit was awful. Like,
yeah,
Vegapunk is so mean. He knows he couldn't make a better Yoru, like at least closer.
I kind of wonder if this is like semi-confirmation that, you know, like they said you can't blow up the bubbles, see some whatever. But I wonder if this is like slight confirmation that you can cut the bubbles though. Because there's, you know, you have to like deactivate it some way, right?
True.
Yeah, I feel like cutting the bubbles could work. And people are like, oh, but S-Hawk has the dice fruit. Couldn't he just cut it? But yeah, it's weakened though. Maybe it's not strong enough. So. And plus he's in a bubble. Like, how much like force can you get in a bubble, right? He's not Zoro. Can't do that.
I was also thinking like they should realistically they should suffocate because their air should run out. But you know, it would bubbles, I guess.
Oh yeah. But then again, like they're like artificial, so maybe they don't need to breathe.
Yeah, they're Anel on the moon.
Oh, like, never mind. Boa Hancock is huffing and puffing. Yeah. Maybe they are suffocating.
Oh my god! Imagine
yeah, you see Boa Hancock. She's like, so maybe they are dying in there. It's like
It's like a parody of a movie where like they make the real, like the parody makes like the scene realistic, and so it's like we're gonna keep these people trapped over here, and then like in the movie, the real movie just is like they return, everyone's fine, but the parody is like we come back and everyone's just dead.
They had no oxygen. I like to imagine there's like a slight hole. Maybe these are special bubbles. Maybe it lets oxygen in, right? Yeah. You get
like
you
the
get
bubbles
that
are
fresh.
alive.
You
It's
get
the
that fresh
evil
air
bubble
in there.
from SpongeBob.
Yeah, the evil bubble from SpongeBob, the water prism jutsu from Naruto. Like, there's a lot of these out there, man.
Don't you think Jinbei
What's up?
should be able to like
Swim through it?
Fishman karate at least, even if he's
I don't
weakened?
know.
He's a
mean,
fishman.
maybe he could, but like, he's
Shouldn't
still
the
weakened.
energy of the ocean empower him a little bit? Just a
Hey,
little
we
bit?
don't know how strong these bubbles are, right? Like, if they can
Yeah.
block back cannonballs, maybe they are crazy. Maybe they're even crazier from the inside.
True. Being
We only saw
inside
the
is a little bit
outside.
different.
Yeah. When you hit it from the inside, it's
it's woo.
woo different.
Yeah. And these are thick. Like on the edges of these bubbles, it's like very,
it's a
very
layer,
like there's
man.
a bezel to it.
It's
Oda drew
viscous.
viscous. Very
This is
viscous.
a viscous bubble.
And so inside of a viscous bubble, you don't know. Not too many people have experienced the viscosity.
You know what's funny though is that we're talking about Vegapunk taking precautions and not taking precautions in certain areas. Right now, you would think that he would let the Seraphim do their thing since he's
Because they
out
can
and
command.
about. But he's like, I'm not gonna risk this. I thought that was kind of interesting, and I thought it was also interesting, like how he left them down here with the Cypher Pole agents.
Yeah, because
It's like,
technically,
interesting choice.
It like do the Cypher Pole here can't talk to the Gorosei, but I would have liked it. I mean, this doesn't matter, but like you're right. Like Vegapunk is the authority now, right? So he should be able to command them. But like I would have liked it if like the moment they realized that the Gorosei was on the way, which I don't even remember when they realized the Gorosei guy was on their way. But
I
when
don't think they
did,
know that Saturn is here, right?
well, didn't they talk directly to him?
They were talking to all of the Gorosei. Like, that's why we see the room. So maybe they still don't know Saint Saturn is here, which is why people at the end of this chapter are going to jump ahead. People are like, yo, Luffy didn't sense Kizaru. He's only sensing Saint Saturn. I push back on that idea a little bit just because Luffy says, yo, what is that light? What is that light? He says that right after the Sentomaru panel. And going back to 1089, I think, wherever we see, like, Saturn, like, gulping down that glizzy, Saturn says that he doesn't want his presence to be known yet. He doesn't want people to know that he's here. He still hasn't left his room. Even in the chapter, he tells Kizaru to go do something about this whole situation. He doesn't make a move yet. Luffy still doesn't know he's here. So that's why I kind of push back on the idea of Saturn being the one who just all of a sudden, lets his presence be known.
Yeah.
But it's interesting that Vegapunk is taking this precaution with the knowledge that he doesn't know that Saturn is nearby. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just something weird about it.
On the Straw Hat side,
I
but
like it.
at the end of the day, right, Vegapunk is there. He should recognize the Gorosei's voices. So, it's there. But I agree with you. That is important. Let the Gors... Like, we can talk about it once we get to that part of the Gorosei, like, or this chapter where the Gorosei, Saturn shows off his chops a little bit. But, yeah, the Seraphim were always... So, here's the thing, right? They're not afraid about the Pacifistas Mark IIIs as far as being commandeered, I guess, because they're just out and about, right? So I guess they don't have authority chips the same way. I think that's probably a reasonable takeaway, because otherwise Kizaru should be able to show up and then he's probably a Marine who has authority over them, right? So yeah. I would imagine that would change, but I guess they don't have that. And as far as the Seraphim go, I think it's interesting that Oda's deciding to sideline them instead of because now Oda's treating them as a prize, but the Gorosei did not say they're here for the Seraphim, which is an interesting thing, because for a long time, I would imagine even now, a lot of people had thought that the Seraphim were a huge thing that the Gorosei wanted, but we have 3 things to protect: York, Punk Records, Mother Flame. No mention of Seraphim, which is I thought that they would have been a huge contention point for...
Especially since they abolished the warlords for the Seraphim.
Yeah, one way or the other. And then they have again, if we go further in the thing, we'll see the Saturn talking about the situation. No mention of the Seraphim, and the not problem, but the thing about it is that we were given the plot point that they have the highest rank in order for them. So sidelining them makes sense, but also not like that. Oda's gonna make them relevant. It's just weird that the Gorosei Saturn has no.
Maybe he's so confident that he's gonna get them that he doesn't really care for them right now.
Yeah,
because
that's possible.
When you have the highest authority over something, you wouldn't really like worry about it coming back to your position. It's like a boomerang, right? Like one way or another, you're gonna get it back, especially if you have the highest authority.
I'll bring it back up once we get to the Gorosei conversation, because there's a few things in between. But like, my favorite thing about this isn't even the Seraphims. It's not this. It's the bubbles. I love bubbles, and I
hate bubbles, man.
I knew you. Hey,
I'm not a bubble blowing kid. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. But I think bubbles are going to be important to One Piece, and
fight the establishment.
It's going to be Bubble Piece.
Bubble Piece.
Yeah, exactly.
So with the bubbles, though, we kind of learned that Frankie got unpetrified thanks to S Snake, and it turns out Luffy actually gave her an order. Yeah. Luffy was like, hey, like, only you can save him, blah, blah, blah. And then, boom, Hancock actually undid the petrification. So it's like, yo, is this Luffy's influence? Or is this Hancock's DNA and the love sickness in full display? Where are you at with this?
Oh, it's written in the DNA, for sure. Boa loves Luffy so much that her saliva loves Luffy. Her fingernails love Luffy.
Yeah.
Like her entire body. And
that like 23rd chromosome coming in crazy right now.
You mean the 24th one? Are we
or the 24th? Yeah, it's a shout out to the 50/50 podcast. But yes, the chromosome's going crazy right here.
I saw more videos about that afterwards, but no, so we just talked about this. I just realized how forced this interaction was, because Vegapunk could have just ordered S Snake to just depetrify everybody, right?
Yeah, but I mean, Luffy got to her first is what it sounds like, you know?
Yeah, I guess. I just while we were talking about it, I was like, Luffy didn't need to do anything. We just made this happen just for the sake of displaying that Hancock and S Snake are one and the same Dana-wise. So like, same thing with Jinbei and Fishman Karate. Like, now we're learning it's not just like muscle memory, right? That's what Fishman Karate would essentially boil down to. Now it's like experience and life experience things, because it's not like Boa, this is an important thing, it's not like Boa loved Luffy on sight. Like, it was because of what he did, how he acted with her, his lack of care for her honestly is what like really drove the nail into her heart there. But the way S Snake is reacting, you would almost think that like Boa on sight just saw Luffy on Amazon Lily and said, that's my guy, right? But that's not how it went down. So that means that Boa fell in love so hard that a cloning happened. Oh, that's another thing. That would also mean that the cloning process started after Boa
met Luffy.
And on top of that, maybe that allows us to pinpoint when they got it, but I would imagine it's just Marineford, like when they were all at the dinner table. But then they don't have
Blackbeards. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, they don't have Blackbeards there, but the timeline, it's interesting. But yeah, that being said, like, yeah, I think it's the DNA. I think it's DNA, and Oda's explaining a lot more about how important emotions are to the series. And we see that with Germa, right? Like the emotionless excursion cover story we saw, the Vince Smoke brothers, emotions, non-emotions. It's there. Oda's setting up for this. Yeah,
and
it's a cool thing.
Do you think so with this being the DNA of Boa, I've seen some people say that maybe, just maybe, they can break out of other controls, or do you think this is like a one-time thing? Like if Saint Saturn came to this island and said, hey, exterminate Luffy, right? Like, let's forget about the Mihawk one for a minute and just focus on Boa, right? Yeah. If Saint Saturn told the Boa Hancock Seraphim to kill Luffy, do you think she would? Or do you think the DNA would come in so strong that it would overrule the order?
Yeah.
You don't think she could resist?
No, she would resist, yeah.
Oh, she would resist, okay.
Yeah, I think it would be so like it would be a parallel, right? Boa's duty on Marineford was to, like, for her entire kingdom was to act out the warlord position, like the way Mihawk was he was a contract killer there, right? Like he's like, yo, if I just need to be there, you guys won't chase me. All right, that's cool. All right, Shanks wasn't in the cards here. I did want to throw a slash at Whitebeard, so I guess it's like, you know, you're doing me a favor by signing me on this, right? But Boa had that way more because she had citizens to protect, people, right? And she went against it, right? She made a choice, and so I would imagine that S-Snake would, at the most or at the minimum, try. Is she successful? That's another question, but if you were to ask me that, I would think that she would succeed. It might not be immediate, but I think she would be able to succeed over that. I think that's what Oda's
It'd be like a Gin situation, right? Like they fight a little bit and then Boa's like, I can't do it, and then turns around and beats up Pearl too.
Yes and no. Because I think what Oda would be doing would be he'd be creating a hierarchy of emotions where like love is probably the most, like, I keep on saying primordial, but the most foundational, I guess, like the most instinctual, I guess, the most powerful, the one that people act on. And so if it's like, you know, admiration, I can admire somebody, but if I had a control chip, is that enough for me to break it? No, but maybe love is, right? So it might be Oda could be putting that on the forefront, that like it's because she loves Luffy that her, like, so much that her DNA transferred it, that she's able to break this control because love is that powerful.
Wait, now that I think about it, now that Vegapunk isn't with the world government or the Navy anymore since they're trying to kill him, you would think that he would just destroy the command ship.
Yeah.
Or like turn it off, right? Like,
this is what I'm saying.
Sorry,
I've said it time and time again. This is the issue of bringing in a very, like, the smartest character in your series. Everybody can come up with 1,000 different ways that this guy could be smarter, and what you just said made so much sense. They had a whole night with these goddamn Seraphim.
Or like,
and you
turn off the Gorosei command, right? Disable the Navy chips. I don't know.
And like, people were saying, had the theory that S-Bear could expel the thing because he can expel anything. And so it's like, if Vegapunk and S-Bear are working in tandem, that's one way. But hey, if Vegapunk is the one who put it there, maybe could be the one who can take it out. And maybe Vegapunk explains through Vegapunk that, like, it's not possible, it's difficult. I would have loved for that to happen first, but then we go back to the whole thing of,
maybe that's a plot twist.
Yeah, maybe it is.
Yeah, and like Saturn controls them, and then we're like, oh no, the Seraphim are gonna attack Luffy, and then they turn around and start attacking the Marines instead.
But there's no setup for even that, right? Because the Saturn has no focus on the Seraphim.
Hey,
right?
not yet. It's still early, man. You know, like just like cooking an egg, right? Yeah. I butchered 10 eggs this morning or the other day, and let me tell you, I should have cooked them longer. I think Egghead is still cooking.
You know what's interesting too? Because
what's up?
Vegapunk didn't mention that Luffy overpowered a control chip. You know what I mean? Like, he said very interesting. So these emotions are considered to be one of the pieces, blah, blah, blah. And like, you would think that Vegapunk would be like, huh, wasn't she on orders? How did Luffy order her?
Well, yeah, I don't know.
Maybe Vegapunk did take out the chip. And so, like, then it's just like the emotion, because all he's focused on is that the emotions transfer to the lineage.
He's not worried about that hierarchy.
Yeah, you would imagine it's like, wait, maybe
that's why they're in the bubbles. Maybe because once he disables the command chips, he doesn't know how they'll act, so he put them in bubbles just in case. Oh, I don't know, man. I don't know.
I like it. See,
this is the Par vision I'm talking about, man. This is why I bring you over here.
Wait.
Bring in the vision. You put the V in vision, my man.
What is up with Psy today? It's crazy. You know what I realized? Psy backwards is kind of vision.
Hey! Don't let them in on the secret.
Wait, that's scary.
Maybe I'm just your shadow.
Huh? I should start. We could spell our collabs PARVY.
VYS.
Yeah, and then it's our name. Oh my god,
Ooh.
wait, that's sick.
That
Okay,
should have been
hold
the
on.
podcast name. Dang.
Yeah,
Yo, keep that on the down low. I'm going to have to bleep this out.
Bleep it
So,
out.
going on, though, it turns out that York put a password in the dome. And Vegapunk and Atlas try to solve it. And let me tell you, you know how we not power skill, but like, you know how we're assessing Kizaru's threat level based on sweat beads? Let me tell you, man, Vegapunk sweating. Yo, this man is sweating when it comes to that password. He's like over here, like clenching his arms, hunchback, like 4 or 5 sweat beads dropping down. You got Edison, you got Atlas going, like trying to solve this password. And it's like, dang, what's this password? I feel like it's gonna be something stupid.
It better be.
It's gonna be like meat, because I always say, like, the best way to trip up a genius is to be an idiot.
Yeah. M34T. That's what I would do.
M34T. No,
Yeah.
it's just gonna be.
Because you gotta
meat.
get the numbers in there.
Yeah.
So you get the strong.
Yeah,
rating.
and then like an exclamation mark. I feel
Yeah.
like Luffy could guess this. I've said this, and I feel like a lot of people don't really push back on this idea, but I feel like Luffy could guess this password.
Yeah, like they're hacking away, and then Luffy's like, "Let me at him," and then he tosses their asses, and he starts like meat. Yeah. Or he does muscle. He does.
Oh my. And here's the thing too, like with the meat thing, like it's not too out of the water, because York even says, like right after talking about the password, York, I feel like it's a hint. She says, I'm getting hungry. It's like, brother, I don't know. And then in the flashback, 1079, when we see York talking to the Seraphim, she's actually gnawing down on some fat meat.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think it's meat. It's gonna be food related. It has to be.
I like that idea. We sort of complaining, sort of memeing on. We did this heavily in the live stream, but like there's so many, like, the hacking part, that's fictional meme, right? That's not how hacking looks.
Hacker
Oda's making fun
man.
of that. Yeah, and then the other part of it is, like, in this sequence we figured out, well, we already talked about the Elbaf thing. We talked about the escape plan. The escape plan's I have an issue with, because it's like, you're telling me that you riff-raffed a plan together just now when you had a whole night. You didn't talk about this at all. You don't think leaving the island is probably the most important thing to discuss of anything? But yeah, let's discuss it
It's
after.
an emperor of the sea, like things will work out.
Whatever. Oh, your ship can fly. Wow, thank you for that information.
Cola.
That would have been Cola. Where's
Coca-Cola.
The Pepsi ad would have went hard here. As far as...
Oh, imagine he changed it up and they're like Red Bull, man. You should have used Red Bull. That gives you
Red
wings.
Bull gives you wings. Oh,
yeah, that should have been a thing. Vegapunk needs to hit him up with the Red Bull.
It was funny because, like, people commented on the live stream. They were like, in the live chat too, they were talking. They were like, Par, what is Par saying? He wants ads in the manga thing. And then people in the comments, once they heard my full thought, I was like, yeah, put a Coca-Cola in the thing so that Chopper doesn't have to be hoed out as merch. We don't need that money from him. We want to be a good
the
character.
Chopper merch.
Yeah, they would pay millions if to have Pepsi in the panel. 100%. Let me negotiate that. And then Red Bull gives you wings. Oh my god! Like, Frankie pulls out the other.
Oda's
he
already
has another
racking in
fridge.
dollars, bro. Like, imagine how much money Oda would get if he threw Red Bull in here.
Red Bull would
I
throw
don't even
it
like
back,
Red
bro.
Bull. People get
Yeah.
like vodka Red Bulls, and I'm like, man, what are you doing to your liver?
If I'm not saying to do this, but like the amount of hoeing out you could do with Gear 5, like Luffy drinks it gives you wings. He drinks it and then he just grows wings.
Yeah, Gear
like,
5th. Oh. Ooh.
Yeah, because he just thinks, and then
Or even Frankie with it, because Frankie changes based on what he's used to fuel himself, like with the vegan juice and everything.
True.
Imagine Frankie with a V8.
Yeah,
Or not V8, it's a Red Bull.
Red Bull.
V8's different. Hey, V8 sucks. That died out.
V8 Energy is pretty good in my opinion, but that's
Is that company still around? V8?
V8 Energy. Yeah, V8's still a thing. I mean, tomato juice.
Man, that died off cool. That was a fad for a minute.
Fun fact, I don't throw up like from food like ever. V8 tomato. My dad bought it at airport.
Gross.
I threw up first time in like my life, like from like not being sick. Like I was perfectly healthy, and then dad's like, "Try this." This is great. I think he did that, and then I did. And I threw up before the airplane. I was like, never having V8 ever again. But V8 Energy is pretty good. Pretty good.
I'm not gonna try it out.
It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, no offense. I love your glowing endorsement, but I have too many bad memories with V8s.
Yeah, that's how I felt too. But now there's a black market for these V8 energies, and I'm at the forefront, so it's fine.
And if nobody knows, V8s are like a vegetable company, juice brand, whatever.
Yeah. V8 energies for fruits though. They don't have like as many.
Yeah, because they learn from the vegetable juice. They learn not to go into the vegetable market.
Yeah. I remember thinking, I was like, when the real tomato V8, I was like, isn't that just ketchup? Like, I remember.
You know what's funny? I think not only did it have bad PR, but even One Piece was memeing on the vegetable juice with Frankie too. So they were catching strays.
Wait, what do you mean?
Well, not like V8, but like remember Frankie back during not the time skip. Eni's lobby, he put in vegetable juice in his body, and that was like the weakest version of Frankie.
Oh
yeah.
I remember. I gotta reread
V8's just
that.
catching strays, man.
Damn.
Yeah, nobody likes V8s.
Milk, Pepsi, Red Bull. Oh my god, I'm telling you how many characters we would be able to save. Corporate would love me. All I'm saying. Me and Kizaru.
If it was me, I'd put an ad placement in every chapter.
Okay,
like this chapter, we have this. Maybe last chapter we do like a Herman Meyer's sausages, and Saint Saturn's eating it. And he's like, like before we fight, I need to eat my Herman Meyer sausage. You know, like every chapter, just a little bit of a real world name drop.
How come you can say that and you be like that and nobody calls you out for that shit? But then when I say I'm an issue,
because you're serious, man. Like,
wait,
when I
you're
say
serious
things,
too.
No, I'm joking.
You're not.
Like 90% of things I say are jokes. Whenever you throw something out there, you're like 1,000% set on it.
No. Hold on. Don't you? If anybody's listening to 50/50 podcast, they know
be good if they actually did like a Herman Meyer.
I
Red
didn't
Bull
say
gives you
that. That's what your headcanon was. I'm saying you're trying to push back on is that you somehow
you probably see O'Hara and be like, we need to sponsor that one.
I'm saying like one panel in 100 of Pepsi. Yo, you get one sponsor. You better pay $100 million. Your ass would put a sponsor every single chapter because why not?
Because if One Piece wanted to go the comedic route, I think it would be great, right? Like just out of nowhere, Luffy's like, I don't know, fighting Kaido. And then Luffy's like, oh yeah, by the way, this is sponsored by, I don't know, Bugs Bunny or something. Like just something goofy, right?
Wait, that's what Looney Tunes did do that. I feel like with ads and sponsors, they I remember like Bugs Bunny would turn to the camera and say something, and maybe it was
it's like in show products though, so it is like a meme.
Yeah. True. It'd be funny, but like I imagine like the Dom shoes came out, and then your version of it's like, check out my my Gucci boots, like you know what I mean?
Hey, you never know, man.
My Shein
anything
boots.
for $1, let me tell you.
I got these from Shein. Oh, Egghead would be sponsored out the wazoo by Shein if it were up to you. You know it too.
Oh yeah, I'd sell One Piece to Shein. So with that being said, though, we got the password going on. We got Luffy, Bonnie, Frankie, Lilith running to the coast, and this is something a lot of people have been talking about. I have my grievances with this theory, but I love hearing what people have to say, and maybe I'm wrong at the end of the day. I mean, I'm not infallible, right? Just a man. But people are saying that Bonnie might be Catarina Devon because of how out of, I will admit people are saying, oh, you guys, not us, but they're like, oh, people just hate seeing Sanji get praised. That's not really it. It's more so like we don't see people getting praised outright normally.
Especially not women praising Sanji.
Yeah. Women praising Sanji is wild. Like, usually Sanji has to beg for this. But here's the thing. And like,
no. Like, when you really think about it, it's a plot line that we should question it. Viola, she was praising Sanji out the wazoo, and then we found out she's a double agent.
Yeah.
And then she beat his ass up and like mugged him. And then she did the things and realized how insane he was. But like that's literally in the story of like someone gassing up Sanji.
And then Pudding too. Yeah. Every girl that gasses Sanji up, they come to like Sanji in the end. But usually they're like a double agent. Like you said, Viola and then Pudding. It's like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Is this like a running thing with Sanji? I don't know.
Oda is...
Man, you're convincing me on the other side now. Like, I came in here, like, dead set on saying this isn't Catarina Devon, but now I'm just like, dang, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I am wrong here.
Yeah, but the thing is, here's the issue, right?
Yeah,
Here's
a couple of issues, though. There's a lot of issues with this.
Yeah, with Catarina and Devon specifically, timeline is the main rebuttal initially off the jump. Like, we saw the Blackbeard ship, so unless you're saying Devon was here before the ship was there, it wouldn't make sense because the dome was closed off. So unless Devon also breaks through that, which we thought that they could break through the security, but we thought it was because they took the dome down, right? But in this scenario, Devon being Bonnie doesn't make full sense. Now, Bonnie being swapped out is possible because, like, last we saw, she was knocked out at the thing, and she wasn't with Vegapunk. No one was with her, so she could still be there.
She was alone.
This could be someone else, but who on Egghead on Labo phase could it be? That's another thing. Now, Vegapunk is known to make clones. Heck, we don't even know Vegapunk's relationship with Bonnie. Does he have replacements? Like, I don't know how Bonnie was made or created or how old she is even. But the other part of this that is interesting, in line of like the Sanji always gets gaslit, the thing is, it's like in those moments, Sanji would normally know when he's being like the reason Viola genuinely was playing a double agent, but she had an inner emotion that Sanji latched onto and knew that this was the true Viola. There's something deeper than what she's putting out there. And immediately they became allies once they confronted that, right? In Pudding's situation, the whole point about Pudding is that Pudding became a master manipulator in the Charlotte family by manipulating memories. So that's why she was so good that even Sanji was fooled. But Sanji still knew beneath that, like, the right things to say, what really was meaningful to her. And that's the important thing, because if this was not genuine and not real, then Sanji would be able to sense this out of Bonnie, but Oda didn't have Sanji here to hear this. So
don't underestimate Sanji's understanding of women.
Yeah,
guy's a monster.
That's important
maxed out.
Because we've been seeing Sanji with Stussy this entire time when they were searching the thing, and he's been acting like that, and like it makes you feel like Stussy's actually on their side, because it, like, if she was acting out, Sanji might be able to sense it if there was some kind of like turmoil or tear or whatever with Stussy. But because Oda didn't put Sanji here to like vet out Bonnie saying this, I can see it not being Bonnie. But we also have to recognize, like, Bonnie just went through a traumatic situation that they recognized and she recognized. So that not like it's a little weird, like, the circumstance here. So maybe Bonnie is just like trying to push away like dark thoughts, right? And we know she loves food. She, like, her entire character revolves around food, right?
So she would love Sanji, yeah.
So it would make sense off rip, like, that she would love Sanji. It's just like, again, the dialogue does make you want to think that. It feels
out of place.
But is it like so out of place that like it's Devon? No, I don't think so. Is it so out of place that maybe there's a new Bonnie here? Maybe.
I don't know.
But I don't know what that means.
And
you know?
Here's another reason why I'm not a big fan of the Devon side, is simply because the security dome is up, right? But not just that, the sea beasts. We have Mark III Pacifistas, Sentomaru. We have Navy ships. And you're telling me nobody sensed Devon? Yes. Devon, Lafitte, masters of stealth, whatever. But you'd still be able to notice if they were flying up through like a giant laser beam dome. You know, like, you'd at least see their ship off the coast, but they're nowhere in sight. None of the Marines even mention them. And Egghead is under siege. They've actually been here for quite some time. That a whole day is past. Like, I don't know, like... I feel like if they were actually here, then we would have had somebody mention them. Like, maybe Kizaru's like, hey, by the way, there's a report of a ship like right near us, like off the coast of Egghead Island, and it has Blackbeard's Jolly Roger. Nobody said that yet. So my headcanon is that maybe they wanted the researcher ship. And I think you said it too. Like, it could be a play on like, oh, Ohara, you know, they didn't have to kill the researchers and the civilians, but they did. You know, were they going too far? Were they not? But maybe this time around, we learned that because they let the researchers escape, or almost escape, because, you know, obviously Saturn wants to kill them, maybe those researchers do matter. And it's speaking back to Ohara, where, like, yeah, Akainu wasn't a great guy. He killed a bunch of civilians, but he was thorough. Whereas if the Blackbeard Pirates capture them, maybe they do have information that, you know, they could use against them. I don't know. There's a lot of things here. And I really like both camps. I just don't think this is Devon. But also, this goes back to one more thing, too. Vegapunk wanted to give Bonnie something. He said he wanted to give Bonnie something really important back in chapter 1064, and we haven't seen that yet. Like, we
Yeah.
don't know what it is. And it wasn't Kuma's memories because he didn't want Bonnie to see those memories. So it's not that. So Bonnie might have gotten a present from Vegapunk, and that could be another reason why she's so chipper. I don't know. Like, there's just so many things with this, man.
And you brought up a good point. It's like, if this was a third party, it's kind of like, remember when the Vegapunk was like, let's call in somebody else, and someone called the Denden Mushi, and they're like, oh, this is what I've been here for this entire time. And we were like, well, it couldn't possibly be someone here because we would have saw that, but like it ended up being Stussy, who apparently Denden Mushi'd in between, and that's like a lighter, like, all right, she just got on a phone, whatever, right? Like, Lucci's out here giving a whole ass report in front of them with a whisper, fine, right? But as far as infiltrating in the midst of a siege when there's 100 ships and they're eyefully watching the situation, it would be weird if Blackbeard was able to, like, not even Blackbeard, but Blackbeard's crew to be able to go through all that to the point where it's like the sea beasts shouldn't be minimized, because even Kizaru, in order to get through them, he used his devil fruit power to bounce past them, because I would imagine if he were to deal with them up front, it would take him not a decent bit, but like it would
take a couple seconds, you know?
Yeah. For Kizaru, and you know, no, there's no shot that any of the Blackbeard pirates besides Blackbeard, but I don't even think Blackbeard would be able to handle it as cleanly as Kizaru would be able to. And so, like, as far as that goes, like, if this isn't Bonnie, it's someone in Egghead, and maybe it's York. Maybe York put up like insane
crazy hologram. I don't know.
Yeah, hologram
9D chess. Like, you know, they're over here breaking dimensions with their brain.
Yeah, insanity.
I don't know.
Sure, maybe, but like I don't know about that. I think
this is Bonnie.
Why can't a woman just be happy, right?
why can't Sanji just get praised and not have an ulterior motive?
Yeah,
right?
At the end of the day, we're looking at
maybe.
Bonnie, and she's just happy, and all of a sudden we're all questioning it.
I love entertaining these theories because, like, here's the thing, right? Like, we're not infallible. Like, maybe we are wrong. Maybe, like, we get to the next chapter, there is a panel that explains all of this, and it is Devon, right? They start smiling. We get the oof, 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 and then they attack Luffy. I have no clue, man. Like, that's the joy of One Piece, right? You never know what's gonna happen. It's like Pawn Stars. Who's gonna walk through those Las Vegas doors?
Yeah. But I do like there was another idea. We might be hearing a lot of laughter because Zen's here in the background, and sometimes when I talk, he just starts laughing. So he was laughing he started laughing when I said, "Why can't women just be happy?" And he started laughing.
Your son is laughing at the idea of women being happy. Hey,
yeah,
my man, give him a high five.
Do you hear him?
I'm kidding. Yeah, no, I heard him.
Yeah.
That's cute.
He wants that.
Hey, shout out to Par's son.
This might be the first time he's been on your channel, right?
I think it is. Look at that.
Yeah. Oh man, he might take down my mic.
He's trying to shut it down.
Are you trying to take down the Frontier Dome, huh?
Yeah, he learned that Devon was here. He's like, not a woman.
The other idea that I do like is this is kind of out of pocket though.
What's up?
I mean, it's not out of pocket,
we're pretty out of pocket. What was your idea?
It's not out of pocket like us, but it was that Devon was just one of the vice admirals, and I'm like, damn.
No, I like that idea because I think I told you this before. I think that if the Blackbeard Pirates went after the researcher ship, and Saturn sent somebody to go after that ship, I feel like it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility that Lafitte hypnotizes them and Devon takes over the command position, and they get sent back to Saturn.
Yeah, let me see.
Like high key infiltration. Like, maybe Vegapunk and them aren't the real targets, and maybe it's actually just Saint Saturn. That would be kind of nuts.
That would be wild.
Maybe they leave this island and they do get everything. They get the Seraphim, York, Mother Flame, and then Saint Saturn's like, hey, Vice Admiral Kizaru, like, I need you to take them back to Marine HQ. And then Kizaru's like, aye, aye, sir. And then, boom, carrying Devon and Lafitte.
You know what? We can actually vet a little bit of the vice admirals because Oda gives us like whisper, like they're actually, no, these aren't. I don't know why Oda does this sometimes, but like the vice admirals are giving commands, but Oda uses like the thought bubble thing, which previously meant like whispering, right? Like Oda's used that for whispers, but in this time I was like, when I was reading I was like, wait, is that like, are they whispering to them, or because if that was their inner thoughts, that's different. But what I was gonna say is that there's 3 vice admirals and 3 of them give like orders that are meaningful here, and then there's one last one at the end of that strip and he just says yes sir, or he doesn't even say yes sir, he just kind of stands there menacingly. Maybe that one is Devon.
I would, you know what? And here's the thing too. We talked about like, oh, Devon would have to get through Sea Beast and everything. Devon taking down a vice admiral, I think that's very fair.
Oh yeah.
I love the vice admirals, but I don't think they stand a candle against the Blackbeard pirates. Luffy, Devon but not the Blackbeard pirates.
Especially not a mythical Zoan. Like that's crazy. You know what I mean? Like mythical Zoan's a buff and a half. Like
a buff and a half.
Yeah,
that's kind of cool. And also, I love we talked about this earlier, but I love how the vice admirals are like, "Hey, let's free the CP0 agents." like they just want to save the boys, you know? Like they're not insects to them; they matter.
I think that meant like Cypher Pole agents, but like they said CP0. It'd be weird if she was just like, yeah, only Lucci and Kaku, not the other, not the ones that.
Yeah, they're also fanboys like me. I see them every Tuesday at the club.
Like she loves like Lucci's like her kitty cat because she's like an old lady. Like that'd be kind of funny.
So Borsalino and Saturn are talking in a room, and I love how confident they are. Right? Like they know Luffy's here, they know everything about the whole situation, but Kizaru still has the nerve to say he's arrogant, you know, like they're cornered rats. It's like, dang man, Kizaru, like how high are you putting yourself on that pedestal? Which is another reason why I'm like, maybe Kizaru is that guy. And here's the thing. I'm not saying he can't be. I would love it if he was. I'm an Admiral fanboy. But I never saw him in this light. Literally. Like,
pun intended.
Yeah, pun intended. I like
now
it.
That I said the Gojo thing, like even the way he's walking, like I'm like,
he got that Gojo walk going on, you know?
Yeah. Like now like, that
maybe I can see him like swinging the arms or something like Gumbo. Oh man, because I had a whole idea and perspective about Kizaru, but now the opposite is here, where it's like he's so strong that he's just cocky, and that's a very solid portrayal for an admiral that would make sense, like an archetype that would make sense to put them with. But like the problem is that we haven't seen it, and the portrayal of admirals in general. And then like if Kizaru was that strong, then it's like, why like it, like I don't know, it's just like then you would imagine that the Navy would have like a higher standing like in the world if a man like this just existed, you know what I mean? He's
like,
too busy doing paperwork like Naruto when he's Hokage.
Yeah, like because in the issue of Gojo, right, like he's so powerful, but he like solo, like to the point where people are like, oh, we don't even need to do the work anymore, he could just do everything. And he could have, and like, and
but
then
he doesn't, because they gotta nerf him for the story.
Yeah, and then like Kizaru, it's like like in reality, the difference in JJK is that like it's a story about curses, and humans just existing essentially create curses because it's negative energy, and we got plenty of that, right? Whereas here it's like dreams are endless, sure, but like as far as like slapping pirates around, like it's not like they just come out of nowhere, you know what I mean? Like he, like it's kind of the same meme as like Smoker being in the East Blue, like yeah, he's a god because he's a Logia there. Hell, if you have Kizaru that strong where he's rolling up to 2 Yonkos, then what are we talking about?
I mean that's like a plot, that's like a plot convenience though, right? Like
yeah,
that's like saying, why didn't they kill Luffy in chapter 1 if they knew that he had the Gomu Gomu no Mi? But you know, it's like one of those things you have to like overlook, or like, hey, why don't we have admirals posed up at every checkpoint of the New World, just easily cleaning them up?
I think like there's the Gomu Gomu one is a little bit different because it's like that one's easily, people will more easily overlook that one from like, oh, the Gorosei either made a bad decision or they didn't know, whichever way you want to rationalize it. Whereas like it's the same thing with Garp, right? Like the moment people found out Garp was strong, they fell back on their ideology. It's like, if he was this strong, then why did he not do anything at Marineford, right? But it's like there was a whole context,
and even all the admirals too.
Yeah, and so like with the admiral specifically, it's like we get the understanding that Kuzan and Akainu are so strong, they would terraform the entire thing. Everyone would die, right? Like, there is that kind of notion. But then there's extended version with Kizaru now, where it's like, no one thinks Kuzan is gonna run up on Big Mom and Kaido. I don't think he thinks that, but Kizaru does. So, like,
Kizaru, he wanted to run up against them. And here's the thing, too, right? People, whenever we bring up the Green Bull argument, like, oh, Green Bull thought he could take down Luffy, Kid, and Law. Yeah, but here's the difference. Green Bull just got drafted to be an admiral a couple of years ago, right?
Yeah.
Sure, he might have been in the Navy for a minute or whatever, but he got drafted into an admiral position. Whereas Kizaru, he's
literally
been there
a
for
new
a while,
leaf.
man. Like, this guy is an OG. He was in the Roger era. You know, he fought Fisher Tiger and Arlong back in the day. Like, this is a GOAT. Like, he's been here for a minute. You know how we see Garp and we're like, oh, he's a hero of the Marines? You can almost say the same for Kizaru.
Yeah.
Almost.
Been here.
Yeah,
And
not exactly, but still, like, he's on that level of age.
He doesn't even have like any negative things like Kuzan, or as far as we know, with like Akainu at Marineford or O'Hara, and with Kuzan with like Robin, or like, from what we know, this guy is here. He's straightforward, just like Light.
He just wants to do his job, you know. That's how it is.
Whenever he sets his mind to it, he can do it. It's just like, you know, with the Rayleigh situation, it's like, yeah, he didn't expect to be stopped by the Dark King, and it's like he could probably beat him, but it's like it's gonna take some time. And it's like in versus the Wano thing, it's like, yo, he actually was like, I wouldn't be surprised. And the thing is, now he's Light is crazy. It's like Anel is like the character. It's like, you give Anel hockey and you bring him back to the story, that guy's
insane, man.
Yeah.
Like, conquers hockey and understanding of like the world. Like, oh yeah, Anel would be a monster. And here's the thing too,
hockey, boom.
One more thing about Kizaru is that at the end of the chapter, you know, like, I keep on going back to this point, but people don't think it's Kizaru, or some people don't think it's actually him that Luffy's sensing.
Yeah.
But Saint Saturn right here says, yo, the Frontier Dome is a defense system that utilizes lasers, right? Can't you go through it since you're a light human? And then Kizaru pretty much says, yeah, I probably could. And then by the end of the chapter, that's exactly what we see. We see Light peering up above the clouds, and it's like, and Luffy's like, hey, someone very strong is coming. I feel like it's Kizaru. I feel like there's more reasons to believe it's Kizaru than Saturn.
Oh yeah, no, I'm on the, it's Kizaru 100%, in my opinion. I'll put money on that, because it's just
I put money on it too, actually. I'm so determined on this.
I mean, like the people like, oh, if we're wrong, like, oh, how much money, where,
God
like,
dang it, no.
But the thing,
if I'm wrong, I delete the channel. I'm gone.
Yeah,
bye-bye, guys.
just
I delete it. I
George.
clip out this segment right here. There's no proof.
Yeah, and then we repost it. It's like, oh, sorry for the delay, guys.
Yeah,
like,
sorry for the delay. We had
has,
technical difficulties.
Yeah,
Par has health issues. He visited the doctor. Sai was playing with his cats. I don't know.
But so, like, yes, Kizaru speed ran towards the center of the island, which is the pathway towards Labo phase. And the thing is, what he said to Saturn was, and the same thing with the entire point of it, Saturn wants to stay on the ship. Like, he wanted to conceal his presence. It's yes, he's here, but he's also not gonna, like, I mean, like, okay, like, not to analogy, right? Like, a billionaire might want to go outside, but that doesn't mean they want to walk amongst the peasants. You know what I mean? Like, they'll stay in their bulletproof Rolls Royce.
He only comes out if he sincerely needs to.
Yeah,
like, there's no other option. Saint Saturn is the last line of defense, or offense, I guess.
Offense, whatever it is. And we'll talk. I want to talk about it after, if we still get to it, or whatever, because we could talk about it any other time. But there's too many reasons for him to stay. It wouldn't make sense for the progression of this chapter for it to be him that Luffy sensed, because for all intent and purposes, he's in the same spot that he's been in for a day. So if Luffy started sensing him now, it's like, where, is he
like why? Like, what is he doing here?
Or is
he just transforming for Sea Beast?
Is Luffy sensing a guy who instant transmission to the center of the island? That's terrifying.
And
you know
is
what I mean?
clashing and showing off his powers.
Yeah, like it's the same thing with Akainu and Whitebeard. Akainu wasn't afraid of Whitebeard when he was in front of him, but when Whitebeard instant teleported behind him. Akainu saw God. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
he was like,
he
oh my
was
God.
sweating a little bit with that one.
Yeah, so it's like the same thing. It's like, yeah, there could be strong people, but when those strong people surprise you and just appear, that's terrifying. You know what I mean? Again, I always bring up Mike Tyson. Yeah, Mike Tyson, block down, not that scary. Mike Tyson behind you, under you, that's terrifying. You don't want Mike Tyson under you. Like, that's not a thing you want.
Having Mike Tyson underneath me doesn't sound like a fun time, I will admit.
Yeah, so that's what Luffy's feeling right now. He sensed instantly, within the light speed of light, a monster below him. And not only that, if the background of this panel is telling us the truth, that yeah, Kizaru is a light human, he can go straight through the dome, which, by the way, Vegapunk, why? Like, you made this thing one of the Admiral's powers, and like, if you're researching poneglyphs and expecting to fight whatever, or having to defend yourself at any timeline, why do that? Why not have another?
It's because nobody thought that Kizaru would. I bet Vegapunk didn't think Kizaru would be the one to come here. It's just like Sentomaru last chapter. He's like, out of everybody, it's you. Like, you know, like, what about like the time we grew up together, right? Like, I wouldn't. I probably would, but I don't think Vegapunk or Sentomaru wanted to take precautions against a friend.
So here's the thing, right? Like, the photonic gloves, I need to know what those are made for, why they were made, were they trying to do something special to Kizaru, or was it a defense thing? Because for me, I'm thinking like, I would have mirrors, my entire goddamn island, you know, light protects like everything outside, but the inside, mirrors are protecting me. Because imagine how funny it would be, because I was like, yeah, I'm gonna try to go through this defense, and then he just hits the mirror and bounces away.
Wait, here's the thing. Do you think the photon gloves will play a role in this arc?
I don't like, look at Luffy's face right now. If this is Kizaru and he's afraid of Kizaru, there's no way photonic gloves are what changes the field from Luffy's face right now. It's way too important.
And here's the thing, gloves. Luffy with the Sun God Nika mode, right? Like, he could touch Kizaru. Like, he has hockey. Like, I don't think Luffy would. Yeah. Luffy could be so handsy with Kizaru. Like, straight up romance Dawn, V1 flag over here.
Happy endings.
But here's the thing. Like, anybody that could box Kizaru already has hockey. They can already touch light. I don't think the photonic gloves would make too big of a difference unless you give it to somebody like Frankie. But even then, Frankie versus Kizaru, like, I don't really know how that would go. And another thing with this, too, is that Kizaru, he probably knows they have photonic gloves. He knows about Sentomaru. He knows the passive. He talked about the Mark IIIs, the Sea Beasts. Like, he has been on this island many, many times. He probably knows everything they have. So if he was afraid of photonic gloves, I think he would have mentioned it already.
Yeah, he would have told Saturn, like, me? Do something about this? Do you know they can touch me?
They have photonic gloves. Like, he starts sweating. Imagine Vegapunk walks out of the dome with photonic gloves, and then we see, you know how like Luffy was scared of Kizaru, or like, you know, like imagine Kizaru's the same way. Like, photonic gloves. Someone with technology is coming. Like,
you just see everybody on Labo Phase just walks out menacingly with their hands like this, with the gloves on. And Kizaru's just like, photon.
Yeah, they all walk out. They like start like grope in the air, like And Kizaru's like, I can't do anything about this.
No, yo, it'd be so crazy if Kizaru had a face like Luffy's.
I can't wait till the next chapter. We're absolute buffoons. It turns out that the very strong person is Saturn. It turns out Kizaru got done in by Sentomaru because he has photonic gloves. It turns out Vegapunk manhandles him with photon gloves and everything. Oh, I would be so embarrassed.
So he doesn't have the gloves, which this is something I wanted to bring up. It's like, I think it's Kizaru literally bounced off of he dealt with Sentomaru, right? Like, because the thing is, like, people were like, why did he go against what he said? But what he actually said was, according to what the translations we have at the time of recording, which is OP scans, Saturn says, you'll just need to ignore him. And to Kizaru, that's disrespectful, because he says, I can't ignore a man who's determined to fight for his duty. Doing that will go against my ideals. That doesn't mean he doesn't want to fight Sentomaru. That means that he can't ignore Sentomaru, because that'd be
it's
rude.
not an optional quest. It's like a main quest condition, right? This isn't a side dungeon. He has to tackle Sentomaru's dungeon.
Yeah, and then also then Kizaru justifies why he needs to take out Sentomaru, because Sentomaru commands the 50 pacifistas. So he needs to not like kill Sentomaru. I doubt that's the situation.
Just knock him down.
Just knock him down, stop him, you know. Maybe this is the Saul Kuzan situation, but Kizaru Sentomaru. That'd be kind of interesting.
Yeah. Sentomaru's gonna become the man with light scars.
Yeah, hey, and or the enlightened man.
Or the man who got blinded by the light.
Yeah, he's just blind.
Oh, yeah, that'd be crazy.
So bad. Imagine Kizaru just said like,
he hits him with one of these, and then like,
yeah,
like Basil Hawkins. Yeah,
see, that's what I'm saying. Kizaru could be insane. Like
this man's a monster. He blows off your eyelids if you try to blink. Oh no, this man's crazy.
Yo, what if he threw out the line? Oh my god. I mean, obviously we know, but
now we're playing with action figures again. But hit me up. What's up?
No. Like he looks at Luffy or Zoro or whatever. He's like, "Have you met Fujitora?" And we know how. We know how Fujitora
Fujitora caught
but like
his eyes.
Imagine Kizaru took the credit for it. He's just like, you see Fujitora,
I did that.
He says he did it to himself, but it's because he was reckless against me. And then he's just like
yeah, and here's the thing, like I really don't think Sentomaru's gonna stall him that much. Like I feel like as far as Sentomaru stalling Kizaru, I feel like this one panel is all we're getting.
Yeah,
like, I think next chapter we might see Sentomaru on the ground, and Sentomaru's like, "Oh, OG Key, like what are you doing here?" And then like they have maybe a small conversation, but I really don't think that Sentomaru is gonna hold off Kizaru the entirety of Egghead Island. Some people actually believe that. I'm like, no way.
There's no shot.
Rob Lucci destroyed this man. Luffy could destroy this man. Kizaru can definitely take him down. He's just holding back for a friend.
Yeah, like there's
or
a
Sentomaru's just like amped up for it.
Sentomaru stalls because of sentiment.
Yeah, sentiment. Yeah, they're holding back.
Kizaru in my opinion, Kizaru just flashes by. He literally could just use them as a bouncing board. Be like, I Sentomaru, bye Sentomaru, and then Sentomaru's blown out because it's like this line. My defense is the toughest in the world. He said that to pre-time skip Luffy. Like we're not a pre-time skip Luffy anymore. There's no shot that my defense is the toughest in the world, man, is stopping an admiral for more than a second. Stop it.
Do you think that Sentomaru could deflect Kaido and Big Mom's sovereignty attack, Conquest of the Seas?
If we see him boxing Kizaru, maybe.
Yeah, just remove Zoro, put Sentomaru on the rooftop, it's game over.
But in reality, that fan art's going crazy right now.
Wait,
he
really?
looks at no, I'm just saying, imagine like someone like really talented like actually draws it out. Sentomaru looks back, it's the worst gen. He's like, my defense is the toughest in the world. And then Kaido and Big Mom are like, Nani? And like they're just mind here. Because like remember, Zoro deflected it. He didn't stop it. So, that's what a lot of people say. And Sentomaru would stop it in this headcanon. But like again, I would go out on a limb and say I think that what we see after this is Sentomaru, just like before, one and done. He got one tap by Lucci. He'd get one tap by literally any competent person in this timeline.
Do you think Luffy could one tap Sentomaru?
Easily, bro. Easily. Not even Gear 5.
I think it's so sad that he calls it the toughest defense in the world.
Like, there's no way.
That's so sad. Like, it's kind of like I wish he actually did. But I just don't believe it, man. Like, I don't believe this is the toughest defense in the world. This is like a Big Mom fever. Like, Big Mom, like what? She was like an iron cannonball. You can't even penetrate her skin without hockey.
Something like that, right? Like, there's no way he's more durable than that. That would be crazy. But then also, like, what does the toughest defense in the world even mean next to a Seraphim? What does that mean?
Like, I don't know, dude. Like... imagine if me and you hopped into the One Piece world and we say we're the toughest duo in the world, and then Shanks and Mihawk pulls up and it's like, brother, like what do we do? Like, do we still say this? Like, do we say that to them?
Yeah, like these are, like at the end of the day, we could go out and say Sentomaru's life flashed before his eyes. And these are he just wanted to go out in a cool way. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If my last words were something, it'd be my catchphrase, right? And these are the coldest lines to go out on. My defense, technically it's not the cold, it's like the lamest ones, because your defense isn't the toughest because you just died, because but like, you get what I mean, right? Like, at least he knows that was how he went out, right? But yeah, I think he's just a bouncing board, and Kizaru is gonna show up, and now this front, because the dome was a convenience thing at the end of the day. It went down, and then it caused like a plot issue, and the entire point of it was laser beams. Like, that's primed up for Kizaru to just blast through. Like, I don't know. Like, the fact that, like, we can pivot to the stupidity part, but the fact that stupid Saturn, I'm gonna say stupid Saturn because this man doesn't have a single goddamn plan in his head. He's just like, hey, lasers? Lights? You can just go past them, right? That's like 6th grade science, right? I'm not the godhead of the science defense.
I'm a defense Saturn. I think it's totally fair. He's just a regular dude, man.
No, he's the godhead of science defense.
Brother,
of the
it's
world
just the
government.
title. It's like a politician, right? Like, they're just boys at the end of the day. Like,
okay, but your cope is him being bad. I want him to be good.
It's not him being bad. I think he's just a regular guy.
Which is bad.
It's not bad. I mean, here's the thing.
Okay,
here's the thing.
He's a nepo baby.
He can be bad at planning, right? Maybe his intelligence is a little bit low, understanding a little bit low. But here's the thing. I have done a 180 in the past year. My life has been flipped upside down after drinking V8. I'm now on the boat that the Gorosei are very powerful. What he lacks in, planning, he makes up for in overwhelming strength. That's where I sit. So yeah, maybe he's huffing and puffing like, this is complicated. Light guy, you do this. Man, Luffy has York. Ooh. But you know what? He's probably strong. Luffy isn't the brightest bulb. The electrician hasn't visited Luffy in a while. His wattage is a little bit low. But guess what? Luffy is still very powerful. At the end of the day, that's how it is.
But Luffy also wouldn't be the godhead of science defense.
No, but he's Sun God Nika.
And that has nothing to do with brain cells.
But here's the thing, it could just be a title, like, godhead of science.
Okay,
maybe he's joking. Maybe Saturn knows that Kizaru's going to hold back. I'm going to go all in on the cope. Maybe Saturn knows that Kizaru is holding back against Sentomaru, and he's like, I just need this guy out of my office so I can show off my scientific capabilities. What if the next time we look outside of Egghead Island, all these ships have been turned into giant robots?
Like Frankie instantly making a bridge.
Like Gundams, like giant Gundams, like floating up against Egghead. Like, imagine the Iron Giant or Vega Force 1 tries to fly out, and then boom, you have like Megatron, Optimus Prime, like all like boxing him.
See, my version
Saint Saturn,
of the cope,
please show out.
My version of the
I'm hooked into the Par Vision now. No. I have become Par Vision. I am become Par.
After everything that you just said, you're just like, yep, that's Par.
I am the Par Visionary.
My only cope that I can accept, because it would be comedic, and I would like it, I would genuinely enjoy it, is if he hits us with the boomer thing, which is like, back in my day, science was this and this, rocks and stones.
Yeah, imagine Saint Saturn science was actually just creating fire.
Yeah, no, because at the end of the day,
I learned how to make soap out of lard.
That was primitive science. How to farm, how to rock. He's been locked up in a room.
You can filter water with charcoal.
If he hits us with the meme like, back in my day, this was the science defense, all we needed, with these lasers shining, holograms, what are these? Hit us with some of that. That'd be kind of
Imagine Saint Saturn science is like just a rifle. Like a musket. He's like, yes, this is all we need. This is like, the defense we got.
Like, he even has the head palm. Like, he's grabbing like, the situation's getting more and more complicated. He's grabbing the hair
that he used to have back in the day.
Like, he's caught, like, I need to see, like, if he has like a southern accent, like in the
if he had a southern accent, I'm gonna go so in. I would love that. That would be so cool. I'd be cosplaying Saturn, bro.
Like, at the end of the day, like, I can see like the power thing, right? There's a world where Oda makes these guys so powerful that the things are just titles. They just fit in, right? The same
Fine with his power, devil fruit, like, even.
like, and it would be jarring because, you know, titles or responsibilities was kind of something Oda instilled in with us with the Straw Hat crew. If you're a cook, you're really good at it. If you're a doctor, you're really good at it. If you're whatever you,
it's like Jack. Wait, Jack the Drought, right? Like, what did Jack have to do with like droughts?
Because okay, so this is a good panel. This is one of my favorite things because it eliminates Kaido's entire like thing, because all of the stuff around it was rumors. The reason why he was Jack the Drought is because he left the land like a drought every time he showed up. Whenever he showed up and leave, he would have the same effect as a drought. And so that's why the Beast Pirates called him the Drought.
Wait, so what if Saturn, the reason why he hasn't left this room is because he's been getting godly head at the land of science?
Is Godhead is the official translation. I was like, where's, no way you just said it. Like, that's his epithet because he's
and then he's like, in the name of science, this is some godly head.
I see. I'm okay with it being comedic that way, but like Oda's making these guys serious. If they're so overpowerful and then they're dumb, at least make it comedic. I get it, but like right now we're playing the middle ground. Like I feel like they're strong, but maybe they're like hack strong, but they're not like so insanely strong. Like it could be that.
Like,
and
we can't have like Aizen's and Kira's walking into One Piece, you know. Like the planning needs to be dumbed down a little bit. I'm a casual reader of One Piece. I'm not the brightest bulb out there, right? If Luffy's running at 75 watts, I'm sitting at a solid 90 wattage. And that's the thing, like, you know. I think that Oda needs to dumb down Saturn a little bit for me to understand him.
Oh my God.
I can barely read. It's like, you know, that's how it is. I like to think I'm hooked up to the Par Vision, but in reality, I'm just paying for your subscription and I'm pretending like I got that IQ.
Oh God, I'm fucking.
But with that being said, you know, we hit the allotted time slot. Yeah. We got to end it off about right here. I wish we could have gone on a little bit more, but hey, we got the break week. We might have something cooking on the side. If you guys want to see more Par during the break week, please let me know in the comments down below. If you're sick of them, also let me know down below as well. I'll kick them off. I'll get a new guest. I'm gonna replace Par with somebody else.
It's funny because like they'll be like, oh, I mean, you've had people like say that, and then week after week for months at a time, it's still me, guys. I'll cosplay next time.
Yeah, cosplay like as somebody else. Come in as like do Morge. That would be an easy one. You and Morge are like interchangeable, bro.
There's a lot of things I could have said to that, but
Hey, you call yourself Evil Morge, and then apparently Morge is like good Par Vision. Like, you guys already have that naming thing going on.
No.
Like, I don't know how you're reading into this, but you guys started it. I'm just boop. I'm bouncing off like Kizaru.
He's Evil Par. I started that. His minion. He called his viewers minions. His minions start off evil Morge, but I've converted them to the Church of Par. To the good side, and now he's Evil Par. That, you know, so the Conqueror's Haki.
See, look, the lore goes deep. You could come in as Morge next stream, and I don't think anybody would notice.
Yeah, and you know, people probably think that you've been some people with maybe not the best eyesight, maybe not the best, you know,
some people look at me and they see that guy from Fast and Furious, and it's like, yo, family's important.
I was gonna say people with maybe not paying attention, or maybe they haven't gone outside. Maybe they probably think you've been collabing with Morge for over a year now. You know what's funny? There was a picture of, I think it was like Comic-Con or something like a year ago, and there's like I'm D King. Yeah. He was there, and then somebody said, "Oh, like I'm glad Sai's showing up." And I was like, I was gonna say that to the Morge thing. I was gonna be like, I like that. I think that's hilarious. You know, some people might not like the whole thing, like, oh, that's, you know, like that's racy. I think that's hilarious. No, dude. I could be Zach. I don't mind. Me and Morge. I'll take that. I mean, Me and Morgan talked about it. We have our own interpretations, but it's a fun time
the flying panda. You're right. But hey, with that being said, thank you guys for stopping by. Thank you for staying until the end. We really appreciate it. And again, let me know what you think about this chapter. What do you think about everything we talked about here? Any good theories? Any bad ones? Are we wrong? Are we off the mark? We would love to hear what everybody has to say. And we'll catch you guys later. Peace out. Peace out.
Peace out.